like to begin, Mr. Massey?
Good evening, Council. Morris Massey, City Attorney's Office. I appreciate you allowing us this walk-on item. This is an agreement between the City of Tampa and a health trust that's been established pursuant to a collective bargaining agreement that you all approved earlier this year with the PBA and with the Firefighters Union. This allows for us to transfer information to this health plan that's been established in compliance with HIPAA laws. I do have folks from Human Resources if you have questions, but Kelly Austin and Dave Blavovich, but that's the purpose of the agreement, and the deadline for getting that information to them is fast approaching, so that's the reason for the walk-on tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have Kelly Austin here to present, or any questions or comments?
Do you have a document that we're looking at?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The document with a blue cover page was put on your desk, and the clerk has both, has 2 copies of it as well.
We have extra copy, Mr. Dingfield? I don't think he has one.
It should be on your desk, Councilman Dingfelder. I put it on each.
Yeah, I'm looking at a lot of stuff on my desk.
It really is about the transfer of information necessary for the health plan to be set up in compliance with applicable HIPAA laws. It does not involve the payment of any money. It really is about the transfer of information. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Councilman Dingfelder.
unless staff has anything additional, is it safe to assume, I saw members of the union here, is it safe to assume that they are in agreement with this document?
I can let them speak, but I believe they are. One of the reasons we're here tonight is they helped us get this on as a walk-on.
Members of council, thank you. It's James Owens with Tampa Police Benevolent Association. I'm the chairperson of the Healthcare Trust, and we're in agreement with what's on your table today. We just need the information from the city so that we can put our RFP out for our healthcare plan.
Yeah, I see your signature here, James, thank you.
Yes, sir.
And Darla, you guys good with this? If y'all could speak loud into that microphone.
Yes, we're good with it. We just need your authorization on there before we can go ahead and get the credentials and stuff that we need through.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, any other questions or comments from board members?
Can I make motion, Mr. Chairman?
Wait, before we take a motion, is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on this item, this walk-on item? Seeing none, you have a motion on the floor here. Councilmember Goods, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Dingfelder. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carried with Vieira being absent.
Thank you very much. Now we go to our regular agenda, as you see. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion from Councilman Citro, second from Councilman Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. You need to be sworn in if you plan on speaking, presenting, saying anything this evening. If you would please stand. That includes the people outside, and I'll once again ask when speakers start coming in later on. And please be sworn in. Go ahead, sir.
Do you swear or affirm you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We begin with item number 1. Item number 1, petitioner, if you'd like to approach the lectern.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Martin Shelby, good evening, Council, City Council Attorney. If we can, just if I may, for the benefit of the public, this is our first evening meeting for quasi-judicial hearings, and I just would wish to address the matter of public comment, how we're handling this during the state of emergency for the COVID-19 pandemic at the Tampa Convention Center. We're asking everybody to be, please, respectful of the 6-foot distancing rule. We have, for your comments this evening, we have 2 podiums set up. Choose whichever one to use, and from that point on, one will be cleaned while the next podium is available to be used, and it'll be alternating. So you'll have it to be sanitized between users. Also, if you see in front of you, between the 2 podiums, there is an overhead camera. If you place something down, if you wish council to see it on their monitors, all you have to do is place it face down, facing you in your direction, and it will be picked up by the camera and broadcast and made available to the council members on their monitors. Likewise, if you have a poster board tonight that requires an easel is set up for you. It is actually marked on the ground for a specific location. Please keep it in that location so it can also be picked up by a camera and broadcast, as well as sent to the council members on their monitors. Thank you very much for your cooperation and for your assistance tonight. One last thing. We do not have a sign-in sheet for public health reasons of sharing of pens and having to sanitize pens. So the request to you is this. When you approach the podium, please clearly state your name, and then we ask that you spell your name for the clerk. So we have the spelling of your name, and if you were not sworn, or if you wish to state that you have been sworn, you can do so. But please state your name and spell it for the record. Thank you very much.
All right. Sir?
So I was watching the, one of the other boards that was meeting in here, Historic Preservation, and I noticed that when people came in from the outer room, they probably hadn't been sworn, so I think we're gonna have to deal with that.
Oh, no. Once the room starts, so after you speak and your case is heard, please, of course, go out, and then we bring more people in, and then I'll double check and make sure folks were sworn in. So go ahead, sir.
Excuse me, sir, Mr. Maniscalco?
Yes.
Staff needs to make their presentation before the applicant presents.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so
Sorry.
much. Mary Samaniego from Planning, Design, and Development Coordination, SAMANIEGO. This is case number AB2 1924. It's a alcohol beverage 2 request on the property at 3434 West Columbus Drive, Streets 101 and 102. The property is currently zoned commercial intensive with the community commercial 35 future land use category designation. The development review and compliance staff has reviewed this application and finds it inconsistent with the applicable City of Tampa Code of Ordinances. There are minor corrections to the site plan that are needed between first and second reading. The site currently has an active AB case, which is file number V11196 for beer and wine consumption on premise only inside, and the proposal is for beer and wine consumption on premise only for a restaurant inside and outside consumption. The total AB area proposed is 1,982 square feet indoor, 288 square feet outdoor AB sales area for a total of 2,270 square feet total AB sales area. A total of 81 parking spaces are required and 52 are being provided, subject to a waiver approval. The sales hours would be consistent with Chapter 14. The petition before you is a special use approval to allow the sales of alcohol beverage for a restaurant, beer and wine consumption on premise only within an existing restaurant use. The applicant is proposing to add 288 square feet of outdoor dining area along the north of an existing restaurant that was approved for alcohol sales in 2011. The petition is considered a change of use. The total AB sales area proposed is 2,270 square feet, including indoor and outdoor sales. And according to the floor plan submitted, there is a total of 83 occupants. The subject site is located in a strip commercial center and has a total of 52 existing parking spaces. The previous use for the subject site was a restaurant, and the proposed use is an increase of intensity. Therefore, the site layout required to go through further site review, including parking and buffering. The remaining units in the strip center are for retail sales. There is one waiver requested for the distance separation requirement from other AB sales area. The subject property is along a mixed-use corridor village, and the distance separation requirement is 250 square feet from other AB sales establishment, as well as residential uses. The site plan states hours of operation consistent with Chapter 14, and the sales area should not be located within a parking or loading areas or spaces, and all permits issued after April 1st, 2011 shall keep on site a copy of the adopted ordinance and associated plan. The requested waivers, as seen in your staff report on page 2, is to 132 to reduce the required minimum distance separation from other AB sales from 250 feet to 240, so a 10-foot deficit. Section 27283.7 to reduce the required parking by 36% from 81 spaces required to 52 spaces provided. 2728312J to allow commercial access to a local street, West St. Joseph Street. And the last waiver being requested is to 2728312 to allow a reduction of the drive aisle width from 24 feet to 22 feet. As far as the 10-foot deficit of separation from other AB sales, the AB sales area that is within 240 feet is the 7-Eleven, which is directly adjacent to the property located at 3444 West Columbus Drive. As I stated previously, the property is along a mixed-use corridor. There are some minor changes to be done between first and second reading to the site plan for planning and development, and transportation did find this inconsistent because of the access to the local street, the reduction of the required parking, and the reduction in the drive aisle width. And I will show you a copy of the site plan that is being proposed. Here is the, can you hear me? Here's the outdoor sales area, and then this is the existing indoor sales area with the existing parking lot. And then this is the remaining of the strip commercial center that will also use the parking lot. And that concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions for me at this time, council?
Are there any questions? Councilman Dingfelder.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. I noticed on note 2 of the site plan, it speaks to outdoor amplified sound permitted till 11 p.m. It doesn't have any restrictions on days of the week. And we did get, I see at least one letter from somebody in the communities who says he's speaking on behalf of the entire community and said he had concerns about amplified music, you know, till 11 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. I can ask the petitioner about that as well, but is that something that has come up in discussions at all, or what?
No, that has not come up in discussion with staff and the applicant. That's not a requirement of code. That's coming from the applicant.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you, council.
All right. Sir?
Good evening, Charles Kitzmiller, Kitzmiller. Do you need the address?
Mr. Shelby, does he have to provide his address, or is the name sufficient?
No, sir.
Oh, okay.
No,
That's
go
just
ahead.
typical, but, okay. The petition is to expand our wet zoning area from the existing inside space of the restaurant to include a deck to be constructed on the north side of the restaurant.
Okay, I guess we'll move down.
Is this on?
Mm-hmm.
You can see how the property, the 250-foot radius incorporates this amount of residential area. This is all commercial area. This is the 7-Eleven, which is within the 240-foot radius. The other closest wet zoning is here at the Cruise Forest. This is an aerial view showing the building where the strip center is. This portion of the building is where the restaurant is. This is a two-story portion of the building. We're on the ground floor facing Columbus. The deck would be on the side facing Columbus Drive. The other two-story buildings in this area are the City of Tampa Parks and Recreation Building. Along the back side on St. Joseph is this access to city parking. This is actually the parking lot that the city owns. The residences are behind that. This is looking at the property from the south towards the north. You can see the parking lot for the city, the subject property. This is the access to St. Joseph. This is all existing. That's why transportation is asking for that waiver. This is a site plan, our survey. You can just see where our proposed deck is going to be facing Columbus. This is a floor plan of the facility, the existing dining area, kitchen, bar, access to the outdoor seating is only from within the restaurant. It's not a walk-up. This is the front of the building where we plan on putting that this door. This one will be coming in door to access the deck. This is this St. Joseph Street behind the facility. You can see the city parking here. This is the back of the strip center. This is looking towards the complex of the two-story city building from St. Joseph and Glen, and again, the city parking. So the commercial access to the private street is actually being enjoined by the city as well. This is the city building, St. Joseph. It's just literally blank facades in the back facing that neighborhood. This is the city parking lot. And regarding the letter, I did receive a copy of the letter from Mr. Rostello. Actually, I received a call from him as well. And during that call, he expressed his concern that there would be proposed music. In fact, he disparaged the time of music it was going to be. And I said that, that's not something I'm controlling, I'm just presenting to the council. The restaurant, of course, is still in business despite the close downs, and now they're reopened. And I can have my client, the owner, describe to you what's how the staffing has been impacted by the closure and how we can help by having additional outdoor seating and social distancing. Ready for questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions from board members? No?
Mr. Chair,
Go
Chair,
ahead,
if I may.
Councilman Citro.
Thank you very much. How many other stores are located in this mall? In this strip center, excuse me. Just give me a ballpark figure.
About 10. About 10.
Thank you. How many, through contractual agreements with the landlords of this strip center, how many parking spaces are you allotted?
I'm not aware of that.
You can, your establishment, all parking spaces are open.
Yes.
Thank you.
And part of the reduction in parking was because the site plan was updated to include the dumpsters on site, including the 40-foot truck.
What hours of operations is this restaurant? If you're going to give information, if I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes, if you would approach the lectern.
Thank you. Just so we have your comments on record. Thank you, Mr. Chair. What are the hours of operations of the restaurant?
11 a.m. to 11 p.m.
11 a.m. to p.m.
If you could state your name for the record, sir.
Enrique Perez, ENRIQUEPEREZ.
Thank you.
How many more people are you expected to have in your restaurant, including this new addition? What is seating capacity?
We're probably extending 5 to 6 extra seats as far as capacity goes.
Can we get closer to the mic?
Yeah, closer to the microphone.
We're adding about 8 extra seats.
Okay, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir.
So how many parking spaces do you have?
There's no assigned parking spaces.
Excuse me, let me rephrase it. How many parking spaces does this strip center have?
52 with the proposed changes.
52. And how many people were you able to seat in your restaurant? Post-corona, post-COVID-19, maximum?
Now, at a full, taking into consideration the restrictions, probably like 40 people.
40. So that would be the
That's
majority
if
of the
everybody decided to come have dinner at the same time.
Correct. So my question is the majority of the parking spaces would be taken by your restaurant?
I also rent about 5 other spaces in the building, so they're not being used.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Parking
Chair.
won't be impacted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Councilman Dingfelder.
Thank you. So, sir, you heard a minute ago, I was referencing the letter. I think we all know what the neighborhoods, they're not right on top of that business. That's actually a busy corner. I recognize that. However, most of the restaurants along there don't have amplified music outdoors that I
We
can.
don't have amplified music anywhere in the restaurant. We have sound system inside the restaurant, and we don't have any amplified music. And even if I did, you couldn't hear it on the other side of the building. You couldn't hear it outside of the restaurant to begin with.
Okay, well, good, because note number 2 on here says outdoor amplified sound is permitted until 11 PM.
Right. But even,
So
we don't
that's a
use amplified sound anyway.
that's a concern. If you guys are willing to modify that slightly, I think we could, Mr. Shelby, we could probably do that this evening. My biggest concern would be, typically we want to be reasonable. I think it's great that you're opening up some outdoor space because obviously in this COVID environment, restaurants need more outdoor space. So I think that's good. But I think we need to be sensitive to neighborhood. A lot of times, this body looks to limit that during the weekdays. So, amplified sound until 11 might be okay, Friday and Saturday, but not the rest of the week, that sort of thing, maybe till 9 o'clock or something.
I have no issues with that. However, we are a family restaurant. We don't have a club. We don't have,
You're not anticipating music out there at all?
I'm not anticipating music that's going to be loud enough to be heard 250 feet away. There won't be any amplified sound. I probably have a speaker outside so people will hear some kind of sound so they're not sitting there bored, but nothing that you probably even hear if you stand on the street for that matter.
All right. So, Mr. Kitzmiller, it's hard for us to regulate the level, I believe you, but it's hard for us to regulate the level of sound exactly beyond what the code already allows or doesn't allow. So, Mr. Kitzmiller, if you and your client would be amenable to saying amplified sound permitted till 9, which would be, Sunday through Thursday, and till 11 on Friday and Saturday, if that's a reasonable compromise?
It's a reasonable compromise, but I don't think it's needed.
I know you think it's not necessary, but, and I hope it's not necessary, but we just try and protect the neighborhoods. We want you to have
I live in the neighborhood. I would live closer to this place than the people who wrote the letter.
Sure, absolutely. That way you can work 24 hours, right?
I actually do.
Okay. So, Mr. Kitzmiller, if y'all want to talk about that, other than that, I have no problem.
Thank you very much.
I'm fine with the compromise.
Any other council members? No? All right.
I'll speak, Mr. Councilman.
Councilman Miranda.
In the past, and I'm not going in the past for the future, but other council members that are here remember Yolika being in her stands against amplified music. And it's incumbent that this area, which has, that I know of, from Himes, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, from Himes to the river, I don't know of one restaurant or one unit that has amplified music at any hour of the night, according to the law. They might have it where we don't know about it, but as far as I know, it doesn't happen. And when you look at situations, how did Soho District become Soho District? It didn't start with 100 of them. It started with 1. So when you start to set the trend, and I'm not speaking against the developer here, I'm saying the facts of the record. When you start doing that, you start the first one, and then you have what they call the domino effect. And that's what I think I'm sensing in doing it this, because then you have other units, other restaurants that have been there for a long time that still have a lot of property that will maybe come back and do that same operation. And what you're going to have there, Columbus Drive, it's a dangerous street. It doesn't travel at 20 miles an hour. It doesn't travel at 25 miles an hour. And it's also one of the gateways from the airport into town. And it's a street that's got about 3 names: Columbus Drive, Spruce, Boy Scout Boulevard, the big all 3 of them. So it's already confusing enough, and I'm just saying that I will not be supporting this petition.
Mr. Chairman, may I just address council?
Yes, sir.
With regard to public comment tonight. Council, I'm just going to ask you to listen to all the evidence. We have yet to hear from the public tonight, and please don't formulate any opinions until the end of the hearing so you can actually articulate that based on the evidence that you hear. Finally, I want to address the issue generally of public comments, ex parte communications that may have been sent to City Council that you have received. Those are available in the clerk's office, and you have had the opportunity to look at those. I would ask that you have a motion to receive and file those comments tonight. And again, I ask that you base your decision on all the evidence that you hear and have in the record. So if I could just have a motion to that effect, please.
Do we have a motion to receive and file?
Second.
Councilman Miranda with the motion, second from Councilman Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. All right, anything else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Councilman Goods.
on the amplified sound, this is just a casual restaurant here. We're just talking soft type music, a regular small speaker. Are we talking about music that will bring a crowd, or people
No,
can
there
look?
won't be no crowds, regular sound music through the speakers in the restaurant.
Mr. Chairman, may I address that,
Yes,
that
sir.
point? Just a reminder, council, just so you know, that this is a site plan controlled special use, and if the use does not change, it runs with the land, and whatever representations are made with regard to any particular business, just remember it's not binding. It's what's on the site plan that controls, and it runs with the land.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you. Next up, we have public comment. If you wish to speak, please approach the lectern. If you're in line to speak, you'll see the markers on the floor with the 6-foot distance requirement. Would anybody like to speak on this item, item number 1? Anybody outside, inside? Just a moment for us to check. Nope, thank you very much. All right. Petitioner, if you have anything else to add before we move to close and entertain any other motions?
Nothing else to add, thank you.
All right.
Move to close.
Wait,
Second.
Wait, Councilman Dingfeld.
Yeah, before you close, Mr. Kitzmiller, I think we need to make it abundantly clear to staff, because they will change the site plan according to what you have to say in regard to the hours and the days of operation. Could you state on the record what you guys agreed to?
It was Sunday through Thursday, 9 till 9 p.m., and Friday through Saturday till 11 p.m.
Thank you.
All right.
And we're not making you or coercing you to do that. You guys are okay with that?
We are okay with that.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, questions? No? Motion to close?
So move.
Second.
Who made the motion, Miranda?
Yeah.
We have a motion from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Citro. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Councilmember Vieira.
Yes, sir. My pleasure. I hereby move an ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. An ordinance approving a special use permit, SU2, for alcoholic beverage sales, restaurant consumption on premises only, and making lawful the sale of beer and wine at or from that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 3434 West Columbus Drive, Suites 101 and 102, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 3, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, repealing special use 1S1 V11-196, providing an effective date.
Mr. Maniscalco?
Yes, ma'am.
I completely apologize, but staff needs clarification. There was discussion, Mary Samaniego for the record, there was discussion about limiting the hours for amplified music, but then you had just talked about hours of operation. So I just want to clarify, you talking about restricting the hours of operation or just the time of amplified music, sir?
And if I misspoke, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. Amplified music, specifically note
Okay.
2, I believe.
Sound, okay.
Amplified sound.
Okay.
Amplified sound.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chairman.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Vieira. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Councilmember Goods. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Did you catch that? Do you want a roll call? Let's do a roll call. We start with Vieira.
Vieira,
Yes.
Goods,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
No.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Citro,
No.
Miranda.
No.
Motion carried with Maniscalco, Citro, and Miranda voting no. Second reading and adoption will be held on July 16th at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you very much. Item number 2.
Good evening, Council. Ryan Manassi, Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. Item number 2 is the application AB2 1926. The property is located at 1702 North Howard Avenue. The current zoning is commercial intensive, and the future land use is community commercial 35. The Development Review and Compliance staff has reviewed the application, and we find it inconsistent with applicable City of Tampa Code of Ordinances. Should you approve this petition tonight, there are minor corrections that will be required between first and second reading. The petition before you is requesting special use approval to allow the sale of alcoholic beverages for a small venue, beer, wine, and liquor consumption on premise only, with a proposed use as a restaurant. The total AB sales area is 2,500 square feet, indoor only. This petition was not considered a change of use. The business core district of West Tampa is characteristic of historic downtown districts like Ybor City. Therefore, historic structures occupying much of the land, leaving little space for off-street parking. Within this business core district of West Tampa, no off-street parking is required for neighborhood serving uses occupying existing structures. Neighborhood serving uses shall include all uses allowed in CN zoning district, with the following limitation. It does not apply to restaurants with uses that are greater than 100 person occupant load. And the floor plan that's presented to you tonight is showing a total of 87 occupants. So therefore, this does not require off-street parking. However, the applicant is providing 17 parking spaces on site. The subject property is located in West Tampa Urban Village, and the distance separation requirement is 250 feet from other AB sales establishments. The agent has confirmed that the proposed sales hours will be consistent with Chapter 14, and this note would be added to the site plan between first and second reading, if approved. The site plan states the sales area should not be located within a parking or loading area or space, and that all permits issued after April 1st, 2011 shall be kept on site, a copy of the adopted ordinance and associated site plan for the alcoholic beverage sales permit. Again, there's one waiver presented before you tonight, and that's the distance separation requirement from AB sales establishments. It comes from section 27-132. The requirement is for 250 feet, and the closest AB sales establishment is 186 feet. That establishment is located at 2135 West Green Street. It's zone CI. They hold a 4 COP for consumption on premise and package sales, and again, it's at 186 feet. The property is located in the West Tampa Urban Village, and as well as the West Tampa Overlay District and the West Tampa Business Core District. On page 3 of the staff report, Planning, Design, and Development Coordination did find it inconsistent, and that's due to the distance separation requirement, 27-132. Below that section, there's a few bullet point items that would need corrections between first and second reading, and also solid waste below Planning, Design found it consistent with conditions with the following graphic detailing the solid waste dumpster location and removing that additional parking spot. One correction to section 2743 in your staff report is under beer, it states beer and wine. This actually comes from section 2743C for beer, wine, and liquor, and then 1 for the sale of beverages regardless of alcohol content for consumption on premises only. Other code criteria for city council reference comes from section 27-129. It's outlined in your staff report on page 4 and 5. And then the special use criteria for governing individual special uses is 27-132 on page 6. And I'll show you some pictures of the site.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
This is
Mr.
a point of
Newfeller.
order, and I apologize.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Shelby?
Yes.
Once this one got going, I realized that my wife and I are partners in a property about a block away. By my calculation, probably about 700 or 800 feet. By my calculation, we're not within the notice area, and to the best of my knowledge, we did not receive notice. But just out of abundance of caution, I would just wanted to recognize that we are property owners nearby.
Does that raise an issue as to an appearance on the perception of bias with regard to your ability to be fair and impartial, and on that basis, would you wish to abstain?
No, I'm not concerned about being biased one way or the other. I can review this with an open mind, and I do not wish to abstain.
Okay, then let me ask you this. Do you have, in your opinion, based on the facts as you know them to be, would this issue that you have before you, whether it's approved or denied, have any applicable financial effect either to your betterment or detriment if it were passed or denied?
I mean, we all want to see Main Street improved, and obviously, well, I don't want to go further on that, but we're not in the same kind of business at all. My wife's business is completely different, so no, I don't think it would have any significant impact on us one way or the other.
So what you're saying is any financial impact that you have, you believe it to be, would be remote or speculative, and therefore you have no direct financial impact in this matter?
True.
And it's your decision then that you wish to move forward because you don't perceive there to be an appearance of a conflict, and you're able to be fair and impartial, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Continue, sir.
Thank you, sorry. So the top picture is the subject site. As you can see, there's going to be 2 units. Further discussion with the applicant. The unit that's being proposed for the alcohol sales is going to be here, and I'll show you on the graphic of the site plan as well. Bottom picture is the subject site. That's the parking that they are provided that are not required to have. Again, the subject site parking lot, it exits back onto, was that North Boulevard? And again, another picture of the parking lot. I have a few pictures of the parking lot just to give you an idea of the provided area that they are providing, regardless of the requirement for not providing it. Bottom picture, 1718 North Howard Avenue. That's the north neighbor. Top picture is the east neighbor at 1705 North Howard Avenue. Bottom is also the east neighbor. I tried to do like more of a panoramic view. So that's on the north side, 1709 to 1715. And then this is looking down Main Street, going east. So the site plan you can see, here's Howard, and there's Main, and this hashed area is the AB sales area that's being proposed before you. The one correction in your staff report for the solid waste receptacle is right here. They want them to remove this parking spot so that way the solid waste vehicle will not have an issue if there's a vehicle parked there. This is more or less the zoning buffer map that we're providing. It's outlined in red as the area. Again, the little blue, I tried a graphic in there for you. It's on the north side of the property. That's going to contain the AB sales area. And then the Tampa Police TPD report, they found no objections to the special use request. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Are there any questions? No? Seeing none? All right, thank you very much. Petitioner, please state your name and spell it for the record.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, council members. My name is David Mechanic, M-E-C-H-A-N-I-K. I have been sworn. My address is 305 South Boulevard. I have with me this evening the owners of the subject property, David Schur and Jennifer Schur and Jared Bray. The staff did a pretty detailed presentation. I will try not to be repetitive. I would say that we are prepared to make all of the changes to the site plan indicated in the staff report. As noted, the request is to allow for a restaurant for alcoholic beverage sales on premises only. The restaurant is about 2,500 feet. It's a relatively small restaurant with occupancy of less than 100 persons. The building was built in 1902. It is quite a handsome building, and my client intends to keep it in its current condition. No exterior improvements or changes are being proposed. We have one waiver because we are 186 feet from another establishment that sells alcoholic beverages. In this particular neighborhood, it is certainly understandable that there would be a waiver needed because we are in the West Tampa Urban Village and the West Tampa Business Core, and the area is heavily commercial, and it would not be surprising, of course, that there's one other alcoholic beverage establishment. However, this use is going to be a positive addition to the neighborhood. This will be a nice sit-down restaurant that people can enjoy, come to from downtown or elsewhere in Tampa and enjoy the restaurant. To address the criteria for approval of a special use, this will be a positive addition to the neighborhood and will be complementary to the neighborhood. The application complies with all applicable standards in the code, of course, with the exception of the waiver, which we are respectfully asking you to approve this evening. The use is compatible with the neighborhood and, as I indicated, complements the neighborhood. The application most certainly conforms with the comprehensive plan. Zoning is commercial intensive, and this is a use that does not even, it's a neighborhood serving use, so it does not even require the CI zoning classification. And this will not encourage more intensive uses in the neighborhood. In fact, it could set a trend for a more neighborhood serving type uses. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions for the petitioner? All right, seeing none. Anybody in the public wish to speak on this item, item number 2? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to, oh, petitioner, do you have anything else to add? No, sir. All right, do we have a motion
Move
to
to
close?
close.
Second.
Motion closed from Councilman Citro, second from Councilman Goods. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Councilmember Goods, would you like to take this item?
Thank you, sir. File number AB 2-19-26, ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. An ordinance providing a special use permit SU2 for alcoholic beverage sales, small venue consumption on premises owned, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcohol content, beer, wine, and alcohol. On that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 1702 North Howard Avenue, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in section 2, providing that all ordinance or part of the ordinance in conflict or repeal, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Goods with a second from Councilman Vieira. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on July 16th at 9:30 a.m.
All right. We go to item number 3. I believe this is for the folks with the orange shirts, right? And I think there were a few outside. If they'd like to come in, if they're able to, because we do have a few seats, go ahead. All right.
Mr. Chairman, even before we begin, there have been public comments related to this file number that have been received and have been distributed to City Council, and they are in the clerk's file. I'd ask that those be received and filed.
We
So
have a
move,
motion
Mr.
to that
Chairman,
effect.
receive and file.
We have a motion from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Vieira. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Mary Samaniego from Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. This is case AB 2-2003, located at 6401 North Nebraska Avenue. The property is currently zoned Seminole Heights Commercial Intensive and Seminole Heights Commercial General. The applicant is requesting small venue, beer and wine consumption on premise only with the proposed use of a restaurant. The Development Review Compliance staff has reviewed this application and finds it inconsistent with the applicable City of Tampa Code of Ordinances with minor corrections between first and second reading. The total proposed AB sales area is 9,824 square feet. Required parking is 45 spaces, and 20 spaces are being provided. And the hours of operation for sales hours are consistent with Chapter 14. The applicant, again, is requesting a small venue, beer and wine consumption on premise only, and the proposed uses are restaurant as well as outdoor commercial recreational facility. This petition is considered a change of use. According to the floor plan, the total occupant count is a maximum of 254 occupants. The subject property is located at the northeast corner of North Nebraska Avenue and East North Street intersection. The current use of the property is business professional office, and that structure and building will remain. And as I will show you on the site plan, the restaurant use and the outdoor recreational facility will be to the north of it on the same lot. There are no waivers requested for distance separation required for other AB sales area. Again, there's no other AB sales area within 250 feet of the site. The subject property is within an urban village and meets the separation standards. There's one requested waiver to 27283.7 to reduce the required number of parking spaces from 45 total to 20 provided, which is a 55% reduction. I'll remind City Council, according to the code, because there are two separate uses on the property, they have to each be parked independently, so the business professional office has to have their required parking, and then the additional use of restaurant and commercial outdoor recreational facility also has to provide their own required parking. However, the applicant will explain the intent is that when the office is closed, that the parking spaces will be used by the restaurant and outdoor commercial use. The only inconsistency was from the Transportation Division for the parking reduction, according to reading of the code. Let me show you some photographs. Here is this is a side view from Nebraska Avenue and from the corner lot of the existing office use. Unfortunately, there was a fence up, but this is where the AB sales area will be behind this wall.
Excuse me, Mary, is it 6301 or 6401?
One moment. It's 6401.
So that's the scrivener's area on the photo.
Yes, sir. I apologize. It is 6401. This is at 6400 North Nebraska Avenue, the neighbor to the west. The neighbor to the east on North Street is a residential property. Again, the northern neighbor is 6407 North Nebraska Avenue. And then directly to the south is a plan development that was approved a couple years ago by this body at 6307 North Nebraska. Can't zoom in. It's a little hard to see, but here is the, this is Nebraska, this is North Street. Here's the existing office building that will remain, that had the mural on it. Then here is the outdoor area that will be for the restaurant use as well as the outdoor recreational use. And the Tampa Police Department did do a review and they have no objections to the request. Do you have any questions for me?
Do we have any questions from any board members? All right, seeing none, applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Council. Jim Porter, P-O-R-T-E-R. I'm with the Ackerman Law Firm, 401 East Jackson Street. I'm here tonight representing the applicant. With me as part of the team is the applicant, property owner Angie Britton, and the project architect, Brett Azzarelli, who will be presenting as well. Council members, this is an example of an exciting urban project that doesn't fit squarely within the city code and requires some explanation. I'm going to briefly go over the project. I'm going to ask the property owner to go through her vision for the property, and then Mr. Azzarelli will go over the parking requirements and we'll wrap it up. I'll briefly orient you of where we're talking about. So Nebraska Avenue, this is the subject property. You can see it's a heavily commercial part of Nebraska. The front part of the property is zone CI. The property where the restaurant will be is zone CG. As Mary said, the Swan Hotel is next to the property. Directly across North Street is a 112-unit apartment complex that's being developed and built right now. Again, across Nebraska, more commercial intensive uses. This is across Nebraska in front of the site. And this is looking on North Street towards 275. You can see how close the interstate is there. The intent is to create a small urban restaurant that will be neighborhood serving and will only be used when the existing office space is closed. The green space is going to be used for recreational activities such as cornhole and ring toss, similar to the Nebraska Mini Mart, which is about a mile away. The issue is determining how much parking is required under the code and what we can provide. We'll demonstrate to you tonight that we're able to provide adequate parking on the site that will not cause any problems and will adequately serve the facility. I'm going to show you briefly, and then Angie will go into this, what we're talking about as well. Again, Nebraska North, this is the existing office building. This is the proposed restaurant area with the green space here that will be used for recreational but somewhat passive uses. You can see there's a significant buffer that's been created here and a significant distance. between the active uses and the property line. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Britton, who's going to go over the history of the property and the vision. Mr. Azzarelli will go over the code requirements, and again, we'll wrap it up at that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, council members. Thanks so much for your time this evening and dedicating your evening to hearing our efforts here. My name is Angie Britton, A-N-G-I-B-R-I-T-T-A-I-N. I am the owner of the property at 6401 North Nebraska. I've been a resident of Tampa in the Seminole Heights area for 32 years. The building in 2017, I purchased the property in anticipation of moving my construction company from South Tampa to Seminole Heights. The building and property required a great deal of blood, sweat, tears, and money. It had sat vacant for nearly a decade. I'd like to share with you some photos of what the property looked like when I purchased it. The property had been looted, completely in disrepair. You can see that the mechanical equipment that was previously on the roof is no longer there.
Ms. Britton? So there are about 20 people outside in orange shirts that don't want to speak, but they would like to hear the presentation. So I just wanted to announce to the crowd, if you're not here for number 3, if you could step out just for this presentation so they can come in because they're in the overflow, so they can hear this presentation. Then once this finishes, you all come back in just as a courtesy. They're not here to speak, they just want to show their support and be able to hear this presentation. Sorry about that.
There's no audio out there or anything?
Not where they're at, they're in the rotunda area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
They're bringing them in. It's just with the social distancing, we can't have, that many people in here at once. And here they come. Yep.
I thought they were all Gator fans. I was really.
No, none of that.
Mr. Chairman, this being a public meeting, obviously, this is also, I should point out, I believe this is available on people's phones, live streaming at tampagov.net/livestream if they want to be able to view it and they're not able to see it outside. Otherwise, we do have another overflow room that does have closed captioning, and it's also audio and video. And if they observe social distancing there, they can watch it too. But there are also people out there who are here for the later meetings, so they may have to be asked to give up their seats to be able to make people have the opportunity, or give people the opportunity to observe the meeting as it's going on, or this particular hearing as it's going on. So I just want to bring that to people's attention and just ask for council's indulgence as we work through logistics.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I was just explaining to council that, just showing some photos of what the property looked like when I purchased it. It had been used as a dumping ground. It wasn't fenced, of course, at the time that I purchased it. And this dumpster was on site, the truck was on site. We had to pay to have that removed. Those weren't mine. On the inside of the building, everything had been looted. Anything that had been in there of value had been removed. And there were several homeless camps set up in various areas throughout the building. District 2 police officers were very familiar with this building as they frequently battled drug and prostitution at the site. In 2018, we received our permits and commenced with the improvements. This is what the building looks like now. In alignment with the Seminole Heights Comprehensive Plan, we installed 10-foot sidewalks along Nebraska Avenue and 5-foot sidewalks along North Street. Another view. And just to show you a little bit about, so I'm a general contractor, and I think it's important for you to see my vision, so that so this is what I turned that building into, and so that you can kind of understand what I might do with the Roland Mullet. So that is the inside of the building: conference room, an office, the design studio, the bathroom. Here are some pictures of the property. I know Mary pointed out that you couldn't see behind the fence, but so here's the property. That's the current office building, and the vision is that the restaurant would be tied up as tight to the office and driveway as possible. This green space. You can see that we saved the oak tree. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with the site and the previous owners who wanted to take the tree down. And we actually added fenestrations to the building so that we could look out and appreciate the tree and appreciate the land. We installed surveillance cameras and have on at least 2 occasions been able to assist TPD with crimes they were pursuing because it was caught on our new surveillance cameras. Here's another view of the property. But I have a vision for more. My office only occupies half of the property footprint, and my company only utilizes the building approximately 40% of the standard restaurant and bar hours. The property is unoccupied and unused on evenings and weekends. This is a large, unique property with over 3/4 of an acre of tree canopied land right in the center of Old Seminole Heights. This is how it looks on the, so this is Nebraska Avenue, and this is the site. The privacy and tree canopies offer an intimate and relaxing environment. I want to share this with the community. It feels like such a waste for me to have this beautiful property that I get to enjoy doing during my work days, but then when my business doors are closed, it just sits empty and doesn't get appreciated. So my vision is to bring neighbors together by creating a family-friendly, relaxing, covered, open-air venue with lots of green space for locals to enjoy good food, good beer, outdoor games, and entertainment. My business plan and the design of the open-air restaurant was driven with the sole intent to preserve as much green space as possible. By locating the project as close as I could to Nebraska Avenue, I not only am able to preserve the green space, but I'm also able to offer an extensive buffer to my residential neighbors who purchased adjacent to a commercially intensive zoned lot. So code only requires that I offer a 15-foot buffer, but from the restaurant, I'm offering a more than 77-foot buffer to my neighbors to the east, a 63-foot buffer to the northeast, and 55 to the north. I'll let my architect speak to the specifics, but in a nutshell, it's the green space that is driving the parking waiver that I'm having to request. If I fence that off, if I fence all this off and just put my restaurant here, I wouldn't have to ask you for a waiver. My restaurant itself only requires 17 spaces, and I'm able to offer 20. The comprehensive plan I mentioned earlier encourages residents to bike and walk, and requires new development to install large sidewalks so as to reduce the need for parking in our area. I did a little research on the property appraiser's website, and there are 835 single-family residences within a half mile of this location, and that does not include the 112 units, apartment units going up right across the road from me. I want to offer an alternative landscape to those neighbors from the car lots and hourly motels that they have lived with for so many years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Citro.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation.
Excuse me.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I have just a couple of things that I'm concerned about. Number one is the egress to the restaurant. It's because Nebraska is an arterial and you cannot have coming through and from Nebraska. It has to come through a residential street. Is that a yes?
Correct. We tried, when we developed the property, we tried to have access onto Nebraska Avenue, and FDOT would not allow it.
Okay, what are the hours of operations going to be, including the outdoor activities?
Well, Monday through Friday, it would be, they would start at 5 because my business doesn't close until 5. So let me find that paper. I'm going to give you worst case scenario because if we're not really busy, then obviously I'm not going to stay open. But I wanted to. So what I'm anticipating, if we're wildly successful, when we are wildly successful, would be Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., Thursdays and Fridays, 5 p.m. to midnight, Saturdays, 7 a.m. to midnight, assuming that we can serve breakfast, and Sundays, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Will the areas that have outside activities have amplified music?
No, sir.
Fantastic. Then here's my main concern, because, and thank you for not having shuffleboard. From your renderings, you're having croquet and bocce ball, and thank you. There is going to be some noise, some elation when people make good scores or make good moves. Is there any way you can enhance or are willing to enhance the buffer between your property and the residents that are going to be your neighbors? Whether it be foliage or something that will cut down the noise.
Sure. It's fairly densely foliaged already, within that 15-foot buffer. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking the metal fence that you have now. Putting something along there to even deaden the noise even more. Foliage.
On the inside of the metal fence?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Excuse me.
I would be open to that, sure.
Okay, I'm just asking if you're going to. Again, I was concerned about the parking. That was major to me, because now you're going to be asking people that are going to come that are not going to walk to your establishment to park on the residential streets. So, and that's something else, Mr. Chair, I'd like to bring up later on. But with this large apartment complex, there's going to be a lot of people walking to your restaurant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, thank you for building out that sidewalk and making it 10 foot deep. Thank you. Nothing more, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, if I can, Martin Shelby, City Council Attorney. Just with regard to the questions that were asked and answered, with regard to the relevant hours of operation, just a reminder, this is a site plan controlled. So the relevant question would be, if you wish to know what is really restricted or allowed under the site plan, irrespective of the testimony, which is, I'm sure, given in good faith. What does control is the site plan, and if you wish to know what the hours of operation are, it would be appropriate to ask that of staff.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Goods.
Maybe I didn't hear, there'll be, I'm looking at a nice area with recreation going on. Of course, with recreation, my understanding, there's no type of amplified sound.
He said, I'm sorry. The question that I heard being asked was, would I have any amplified sound out in the game area? And no, sir, I will not. In the restaurant itself, on a Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, I would like to have live music, yes.
And
And
again-
I'd like to actually open it up to, my daughter is a fabulous musician, and I'd like to open it up to, the community, if they wanted to do a performance, at the restaurant on the
And
day.
again, that's no bear in mind to say, I'm just asking because I know that area very well, and you got apartments going up, that means people want to enjoy the area, so just ask.
Okay, thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman, if I can just follow up again, as with regard, Councilman Goods, as with regard to the previous comment that I had with regard to the hours of operation, the restriction, if any, as to outdoor amplified sound cannot be enforced unless it is on the site plan. So ultimately, again, it is the site plan that controls because it travels with the land.
Correct.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilman Dingfelder?
Thank you. Not to kick the dead horse or anything, but Mr. Shelby, our attorney, is always correct in regard to the fact that we need to nail these things down. And now's the time to do them for everybody's benefit. So you know what's allowed in the future, and so your neighbors know what's been approved or hasn't been approved, and that sort of thing.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, Mr. Dingfelder, forgive me for interrupting, but my advice would be, before you formulate any opinion as to potential adverse impacts, you do have the opportunity to hear not only from the petitioner, but from members of the public. So before you formulate your opinions and address that, certainly the petitioner will have the opportunity to address all these potential adverse impacts on rebuttal. You may want to hear from the public before you formulate any opinions and make any requests of the petitioner, because then you'd have perhaps a basis for
Okay.
to ask for those questions.
All right. I won't make that specific request, and I hear your concern, Mr. Shelby. I think it's a good concern. While we are hearing from the public, perhaps get together with your team and think about what sort of hours you might be comfortable with in terms of hours of operation that we could put on the site plan, hours of music, amplified music anywhere within the site, as Mr. Citro pointed out. And also, and I'm sure you wouldn't have a problem with this since you've already constructed it, the site plan's a little vague on note number 2 in regard to the fence. It just says a fence or barrier complying with the code, but you've already constructed what appears to be a 6-foot metal fence around the whole perimeter. So maybe we can tighten that up in the notes as well. But anyway, we'll just carry on with public comment and get back to those when.
So my architect is here as well, so I think he.
Yeah, and you guys, yeah, we can hear from Mr. Azarella as well as you guys can confer later.
I'll be brief. Brett Azzarelli, B-R-E-T-A-Z-Z-A-R-E-L-L-I. I'm the architect working with Angie on, actually we did the renovation for the building and also are now coming back to work on this project. I'll be brief. Some of the things we were going to talk about was the egress, the access and egress from the site, which is from north, and the reason for that was the DOT turned us down on the Nebraska Avenue entrance and egress. The existing building sits here. Some of the things I wanted to really focus on were the number of parking spaces required and the number of the overall footprint of the AB area, and also the number of people that then requires by code to be listed. As part of the improvements, what we're going to be doing is restaurant in this area, as Angie indicated, and that restaurant square footage is just under 2,800 square feet. So that is 1,600 square feet of seating area, and the balance 1,200 square feet of service, kitchen, circulation, restrooms, and staging area for the restaurant. The balance of the area is the games area, and that was always in the vision was an accessory to the use of the restaurant, an ancillary use, that if you were coming to the restaurant, you would be able to use the games area, but you wouldn't use the games area solely, come there to use the games. So the parking requirement to meet the City of Tampa parking regulations, it assumes, as Mary indicated, that we cannot share uses. So we have to have an office parking of 8 spaces that are available at all times. The restaurant, for a 2,785 square foot usable floor area, requires 17 spaces. And then because the recreation area does have the alcoholic beverage portion to it, so someone can take their beverage and go play a game, the city had us we talked through identifying that as a private commercial recreational facility, and that requires 20 spaces onto itself. So therefore, that's how we get to 45 spaces. The reality of that and the square footage of people, the restaurant square footage and how that brings us to a number of occupants. We have the office, the proposed restaurant seating, the proposed restaurant cooler, kitchen, service area, and the recreation area. And what that is 24 people in the office building. This is by code. 24 people in the office building, restaurant, kitchen, all of the supplemental things that go with a restaurant, 110 people, although we only have 60 seats shown in our plan. And then 120 people are represented for the recreation, viewing, and courts area, which is 254. We feel that the part that needs to be understood is that 110 and that 120 are the same people. So in reality, we will not be having 254 people and 45 cars. We will be having what the code says is allowed for restaurant, which is 17 parking spaces based on the code, 6 per 1,000 square feet. The office will not be in use during the restaurant hours, and the private commercial recreational facility is an ancillary use. So given that way of looking at how the site will actually be used, we are required 17 spaces, and we've provided 20. So if as Angie said before, if the restaurant were the only thing sitting there, we didn't have an office building, and we fenced off the rest of the green space, we would only be required to have 17 spaces. I think that Angie did a good job of explaining the vision and what we have for the restaurant. I think I would just like to close my part with, we have 3 functions on the site by code, but we really only have one during the day, one during Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 4:30, 5 o'clock, which is office, and then restaurant in the hours that Angie had mentioned after the business closes, and that green space that we see is really not a separate third use, but it is an ancillary use or a benefit to going to that restaurant and having that ability to use that green space. We recognize that that you must approve whatever the zoning code has. That's why the parking requirement needs to be reduced from 45, which is what the zoning code says, to 20. We wanted to give you the comfort that 20 is adequate based on the description of how the site will actually be used.
Thank you very much. Councilman Dingfeld.
Mr. Azarello, thank you. It's very comprehensive as always. But in regard to your ingress egress point on North Street, it was a little confusing looking at the photographs, but what is happening directly across the street there? It's a relatively narrow right-of-way. Well, the right-of-way is 50 feet, which is okay, but the road curb to curb looks like it's 22. So is there commercial across the street there, or is there residential, or what?
Across the street is the PD that is the 112-unit apartment building. And this is a photograph that
Okay, so that's on the same side.
That's on the side. It's under construction. I did not bring a site plan that shows where their ingress egress to their site is.
Well, I'm not concerned. I was worried there was a single family across the street there.
112 units. I think that the report says that 22 of them overlook the site.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Anybody else? No? Seeing none? All right. Does that conclude your presentation, sir? Ms. Samaniego, do you have
Yes,
any
sir.
questions? Yeah.
Just point of clarification for staff and for city council and for the applicant. Staff did work and had discussions during our review process about the hours of operation, and I stated it in the staff report, and it is on the site plan, that the applicant agreed to be consistent with Chapter 14 for hours of operation regarding the alcohol sales. So the Chapter 14 standards are Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 3 a.m., and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. So that issue had already been discussed. It can certainly be amended in this forum, but that is currently what is stated on the site plan.
Thank you very much. All right, we will now go to public comment. If you have not been sworn in, please stand. All right, oh, you were not? Okay, Mr. Krukas, they came in from the outside.
Do you swear or affirm you'll tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right, we'll begin with our first speaker. Go ahead, please state your name and spell it for the record, please.
Good evening, Council. My name is Holly Clemens. Holly, Holly, Clemens, Clemons. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all tonight. I'm here as both a former client and a friend to speak to you on behalf of Angie Britton and the Roland Mullet Bar and Grill. Ms. Britton's corporation built a bar and recreation room onto our home 10 years ago. She was the consummate professional who poured herself into every facet of our project. We have enjoyed many times together with family and friends over those 10 years, and we're very pleased at how the project turned out. Angie has also been my lifelong friend for 30 years. For 3 decades, I have been in constant awe of both her creative genius as well as her capability of bringing her vision to fruition. Ms. Britton's business plan, as you've heard for yourself, for the Roland Mullet has been meticulously thought out to the smallest detail. As you also heard, the community of Seminole Heights has not always enjoyed the best reputation between numbers of car lots, rent by the hour motels, and high crime. The community of Seminole Heights will benefit from a green space, family-friendly, inclusive gathering spot where we can enjoy good food and local craft beer in the company of our families and our neighbors. Thank you all for your support of a woman-owned and operated local business that, if approved, will truly be a boon to the Seminole Heights community. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, Councilman.
Ms. Clemens, I need to ask you a very, very important question.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel about Tom Brady being a Buccaneer? Mr. Chair, Ms. Clemens and I have known each other, and she's a Pats fan from way back.
Mr. Citro, I'm not going to lie to you, sir. I have some mixed feelings. I'm still trying to work through that, which is why, rather than a football mask, I wore my baseball mask with the Tampa Bay Rays. We'll talk further if and when the football season resumes. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Chair?
Councilman Good.
Do we have a count of how many speakers we're going to be speaking on this issue?
Lisa, do we know? Do you know how many speakers we have speaking on this issue?
They're all in this room that are going to be speaking, so unless you guys just want to approve it, and then
Whoa, can't do it, it's not that easy.
Mr. Chair, why don't you ask for a show of hands if you
Please.
can?
May I have a show of hands if you are to be speaking? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
And occasionally, the chair will remind folks that if it starts sounding redundant, you don't necessarily all have to take up your entire 3 minutes or whatever, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so if you don't, you know. Go ahead and please state your name and spell it for the record.
My name is Dana Philp, P-H-I-L-P, like Phillips, only less letters, P-H-I-L-P. I'm a 33-year resident of Seminole Heights. I own 3 properties in the 33604 area code. I'm here to speak for my neighborhood. This is a no-brainer. It should be approved. It's good for our community. I have been in quarantine for months. I have eaten out one time since February, and that was March 9th for lunch on my birthday at Tripp's Diner on Florida Avenue. I'm not comfortable being here, but this is important. They're bringing in a fishmonger. We're gonna have fresh grouper sandwiches and a cold beer, and nothing could be better. This old girl's gonna ride her bicycle there. Should you approve it? And so will many of us in the neighborhood. I walk 2 to 3 miles every day. I bicycle as often as possible. Please approve this. It's the right thing to do. It's good for Seminole Heights. Some have not been good. This is good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Name and please spell it for the record.
Good evening, Council. Christine Hudson, Hudson. I'm just here, and I'm going to echo what the previous two speakers said, is that I've known Angie for 20 years. She's a successful, established businesswoman, and what she's done with that building on Nebraska Avenue is phenomenal. This addition of a open-air restaurant and green space is a great addition to what they've done for Seminole Heights and all the craft brew things in the area. So fully support Angie in her endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Okay, to your first question about Tom Brady at the Buccaneers. I'm a Patriots fan, I moved to Florida, and I'm willing to convert from my man TB12. So, okay, I took my 15 seconds there. Hi, my name is Susan Roche. I wanted to get that up before you got my name. First name is S-U-S-A-N, last name is R-O-C-H-E, and I live about a half a mile from where the project that you guys are going to make the decision on. I've known Angie for about 8.5 years, and because of Angie, I actually moved to Seminole Heights. It was her encouragement and her philanthropic things that she's done around the neighborhood that really kind of enticed me to Seminole Heights. And being a Boston girl, it's a little bit different in Boston than it is in SH. But I also, while I was here, started talking to a gentleman by the name of Marvin Knight, who asked me what was on my shirt. And apparently he owns the Oriental Fish Company. Again, not from Tampa, but nice enough guy, and he wanted me to be sure and let you know that he is all for this project. So thank you, Marvin, if you can hear me outside. The other thing I want to say is, there's no, I have on the not Nebraska side, Florida Avenue side, plenty of things I can walk to. However, if I want to go to Nebraska, the only reason I go over there is to go to Publix. It'd be nice to be able to walk less than 10 minutes from where I live to be social with other people, right? There's 112 units that's coming in there. I'm a very social person, as you just probably realized, me talking to Mr. Marvin. And what else can I say? She is a female-owned business, and I think that speaks, volumes. I think we need more female-owned businesses in the area, and I hope that you approve this request. And again, go Tom Brady.
If you have Marvin Knight's approval, that,
I do. I can have him come right in here if you'd like.
No.
Mr. Chairman, he's the only guy that flays my mullet on Fridays.
Okay, so hence the reason the name, the Rolling Mullet. He wanted to know where the fish were coming from. I absolutely told him that you'd have to talk to him. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. If you could go to that one so we alternate and we can sanitize them.
Good evening. My name is Melissa, M-E-L-I-S-S-A, Miltner, M-I-L-T-N-E-R, Samuels, S-A-M-U-E-L-S. And I am speaking on behalf of Angie Britton to support her proposed concept for the Rolling Mullet venue. And I'm speaking tonight not only on the facts on why the Rolling Mullet venue will be a true valuable contribution to the community, but to also tell you about Angie Britton. She is a community hero that a lot of people do not know about. She keeps Seminole Heights, and she will awaken it with the Rolling Mullet venue, welcoming all its known vibrant customs and bring it all to the old and new spirits to thrive as one. Angie Britton, I know her as a professional, a mother, caretaker, friend, community server, mentor, and as a boss. And she's a hero with no medals. She gives back continuously, day in, day out, just for the joyfulness that she receives from doing it for others. She's passionate throughout everything she does. She's a beautiful person, straight down to her soul in all the details of her life. And in 2013, she started a program called Building Thanks that she partnered with through local schools to mentor children about our community, construction, and potential careers that are essential to keeping Seminole Heights thriving, to keep building our community. And it's tomorrow's by learning a custom trade. The first year through the canned food drive, we collected and donated 8,300 canned goods, and that fed families in our community directly in Seminole Heights. Imagine how much we will be able to do through the Rolling Mullet venue, partnering with it. It'll be more than a venue. It'll be part of the community, and if Angie is half as passionate about that as she is with anything she is in her life, it'll be amazing and do amazing things within the Seminole Heights community and giving back. And Angie does not stop. She is full throttle in everything she does. And I support the Rolling Mullet, and I support Angie in going forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Thank you, Council, and good evening. Ben Walker, Benwalker. I'm here to fully support Angie in this endeavor, and as I understand, the main variance being asked is for the parking requirement. So not only due to the mixed use that was described earlier, as a professional engineer that lives in the emerging technology space with shared use vehicles like Uber and Lyft becoming a greater part of the transportation options, I can tell you that in the future, a lot of these parking requirements that you see today are going to be null and void and won't be used because of the prevalence of shared use vehicles in the future. And so I don't see that parking requirement being an issue in the future as well. So fully support Angie in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
My name is Miguel Peña, Miguel-Pena, and I'm a resident for 7 years in the Seminole Heights area. I live 3 blocks away from the proposed site, and I used to avoid walking by it because it was such a mess and it just felt dangerous. After she took over, it was a night and day, and I'm truly waiting to walk by and have a beer and something to eat every once in a while. So she's got my full support as a part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Please state your name and spell it for the record.
My name is Ellie Baggett, Ellie-Baggett. I'm a Seminole Heights resident. The applicant is well known in the neighborhood. She's got a good reputation. Seminole Heights knows 2 things: craft beer, tight parking. We are experts at carpooling and Lyft. This establishment is going to improve a blighted area of Nebraska Avenue, really pull it up. So this applicant has my support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Hello, Council. I'm a resident of Seminole Heights since 2001. I walk everywhere. If you see me walking, I'm walking around with a giant hat. I'm really excited about the idea of another place that we can walk to and have outdoor space and something to drink and socialize with our neighbors. I think it's a great thing that we can have on the Nebraska side.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Name.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Renee Gingold. I'm a Tampa Bay realtor for the last 15 years. I've known Angie for several years, and I fully support her proposal. And I don't think one thing anyone has mentioned is in this post-COVID-19 era is what she is proposing is going to give a lot of support to the current environment of restaurants with social distancing. And although a lot has been made of the current space that she has, which she has a lot of parking. She has, I think, over 200 linear feet of parking outside her current space, which she's trying to do. For her restaurant, I think nothing in Seminole Heights has it, where people can go, have a lot of room, a lot of space, to have much more than 6 feet of distancing between people. And we all see what's happening in St. Petersburg and downtown Tampa, everyone else. You have to put your tables outside on the sidewalks or whatever to make room. Angie doesn't even have that problem at all. It's just going to be a beautiful environment. We all know her and love her, that's not what we're worried about. It's like everyone now is worried about where can you go and feel safe and comfortable and have a great place to, you know, engage and entertain and have a lot of distance between you and maybe the next person, but still enjoy and have fun and, you know, be with your neighbors and partners or whoever, whatever you want to do. So that's what's very, very unique about her particular concept, which I don't see anywhere else in Seminole Heights because we never had to do it before. So she was sort of, didn't even know that that's what she had, but that's what she has. She has a lot of space that no one else has and the ability to make this work in the post-COVID-19 environment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name's Richard Tudor. I'm a general contractor in Tampa, Florida for 36 years.
Could you please spell your last name?
Tudor, T-U-T-O-R. I'm not a beer drinker. I do love fish. I just am here tonight to support her because I am a person who wants to see Seminole Heights survive. I love the ancient things. I like to see people walking through the neighborhoods. I like to see them to be able to go to the neighborhoods to do things. The Ellie's at Hillsboro, all those little small shops, they're there. That's a good thing. When I first moved here, I lived at 1420 East Hannah, less than a 10-minute walk. And I found nothing when I lived here, when I moved here in 1986. So for me, that's the best. When I see someone coming, I want a business to grow. And that is a nice area. I actually drove by, I've looked at it, I've seen everything. I've seen the parking, I've seen the building coming up next door to it where a lot of apartments are coming up. I do a lot of renovations in that area. It's a great upcoming area. So I came just to support her tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers? Wait, one more.
Hello, Council. Oh, sorry. Thank you. My name is Susan King, S-U-S-A-N-K-I-N-G. I'm here with my husband, Adrian, and we are here to support Angie and the code request. We live about 1.5 miles from the property and are very familiar with the location and all of the other aspects of Nebraska Avenue that you've heard about this evening. We have sat down with Angie directly and discussed the drawings and her proposal, and we are in full support of it. We think it's going to be a wonderful addition to our neighborhood, give us again some place that we can sit outside, enjoy a beverage in a family atmosphere, but also have a cold beer. Outdoor space is very important in Old Seminole Heights. It's actually one of the reasons that we relocated from Carrollwood to enjoy Zoo Tampa and live on the Hillsborough River. We've known Angie for several years and know her to be an extremely proficient business person, but also somebody who gives back to the community. So this is going to be an amazing addition to our neighborhood, and I know she's going to bring success. Thank you for your time. We'd like for you to approve the request and hopefully sometime have a cold beer with you at the Rollin' Mullet.
Thank you very much. Petitioner, or any other public comment? No? Petitioner, if you'd like to come up, and if there's any questions from any council members, Councilman Dingfelder?
Yeah, if y'all wanted to address the issues I raised before, I saw you conferring with Mr. Porter in regard to hours of operation or hours of amplified sound. I don't need to tell you what's near your property because you know it very well, and I'm very impressed with what you've done. I didn't realize that you were also went under the Eva Claire, but I've seen your construction all over the neighborhood. It's very impressive. But in regard to the probably 100 homes behind you, between you and the interstate, it does concern me a little bit because I know that these successful establishments on Nebraska and Florida, everybody's excited about them. I'm excited about them. I think it's great for the city and the community. But they do, I do see some strain and stress as related to parking up and down the streets. I see a little tussling between the neighbors and the restaurants and little signs that pop up and that kind of thing. So I'm a little concerned about the parking. I hope you'll monitor that as the owner and work with your neighbors on that. And perhaps work with the city, because if you see an issue you know, call the city and maybe the city needs to make one side of the street parking or, you know, that sort of thing. But in regard to hours of operation, if you have I've never been a big supporter of the 3 a.m., you know, limit, which I think is way too late, especially when you have, you know, nice restaurants in the neighborhood. And I think 3 a.m. is not appropriate, but I'm glad to hear you're talking about 10 and 12. So, Mr. Porter, you have something, or you want?
Let defer to you with the hours of operation.
I don't have any intention of staying, I mean, I can't stay awake till 3 a.m., so.
You and me both. So do you, Mr. Porter, would you guys like to go on the record with some specific hours of operation and hours of music, amplified music, and then that way we could put it on the site plan and just nail it down?
I'm comfortable doing that. I listed the hours of operations that I hoped to execute if we were successful, and I'd be happy to put that on the site plan.
We'll do that between first and second reading if that's acceptable.
Why don't we state it on the record, make Mr. Shelby happy right now, and then that way staff can have it clear.
Okay, so repeat the hours?
Yes.
Tuesdays and Wednesday, well, actually Monday through Wednesday, 5 to 10 p.m. Thursdays and Fridays, 5 p.m. to midnight. Saturdays, 7 a.m. to midnight. Sundays, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m.
And and I don't want people to think that this is just me being a pain and you know what, because we did have at least one letter of a neighbor, and I don't know if you saw it or not, that, you know, expressed similar concerns, you know, about, I don't know exactly where his property is, but he's nearby, expressed concern about hours of operation and hours of music. So we appreciate that, and as long as we nail it down, sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add for the record too, you have this as part of your backup, but there is a letter from a person directly in back of the property, and she says, I own my home and live directly behind this establishment. It's a letter in full support. It's in the record already, but I'll put that back into the record.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you.
And she actually lives closer than that other gentleman.
No, we got it. Mary?
Just Mary Samaniego, point of clarification. For Sunday, you can only begin serving alcohol at 11 a.m.
Okay, we just wanted to serve breakfast.
Yes,
yeah.
but
So
right,
just
for
yeah.
mimosas and Bloody Marys won't start till
11 a.m.
Yeah, I think the clarification, Councilman
It just needs to be
Dingfelder
clarified up
and
front.
Council, is the hours of operation relate to the sale of alcoholic beverages.
Correct.
Correct. And then the amplified sound would be limited at the same amount of time, same time periods?
Correct.
That'd be fine. And as long as you serve hush puppies, then I'm all for it.
All right. Anybody else? Any other council members? Councilmember Vieira.
I just wanted to just state the obvious, just how much we all appreciate everybody coming out this evening. We're in the midst of a pandemic, and all y'all are here to support your community. Everybody's socially spaced, virtually everybody wearing masks, and here to support our community. And I just wanted to say, I know I speak on behalf of everyone when I say how much we appreciate that level of engagement, especially that y'all aren't here against something. Not that there's anything wrong with being against something, but y'all are here in support of something. And again, in the midst of a pandemic, that's very much so noticed. So just wanted to say that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to second that and just show that we all have our masks as well, and we use them when we're off of the dais. But since we're set up with about 10 or 12 feet between each of us, we're not using the mask, but we have the mask too, and we support the use of the mask, and we appreciate y'all wearing yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Councilman Carlson.
Just looking at your T-shirts, are you planning to have a giant octopus at the site, or?
Well, we have a giant octopus on the site of the building already. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. It's a mural. Or are you serving octopus?
No.
It's just a joke, sir.
It's fine. It's fine.
I was curious about that myself.
It's painted on the side.
Yeah, it's a mullet.
Oh, wow.
So there's a story with the mullet, but you gotta wait till you open to hear it. Here's one.
It's not a haircut, is it?
mullet is not a fish.
Mullet is not
True.
a fish, okay. Mr. Chairman, do you want a motion to close?
Anything else? No?
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
I believe.
I like the counselor to research it. It was a case by a
I will
judge,
be-
by
between first-
Kicklider, back in the 30s.
Between first and second reading, I will come back with a definition
wanna
of what a
hear
mullet
that.
is, Councilman Miranda.
I'm
Thank
gonna tell
you.
you that a mullet is not a fish.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Can I get a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Councilman Dingfelder, would you mind taking this?
Sure. Okay, I'll move the following ordinance presented for first reading. An ordinance approving a special use permit SU2 for alcoholic beverage sales, small venue consumption on premises only, and making lawful the sale of beer and wine at or from that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 6401 North Nebraska Avenue, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in section 2, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, providing an effective date.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Dingfelder with a second from Councilman Miranda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on July 16th at 9:30 a.m.
All right, thank you very much. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess as everybody leaves the room and we bring people back in for the next cases. We are in recess for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Roland Street. And the applicant is requesting special use to approval for commercial off-street parking.
Good afternoon, David Hay, Planning Commission staff. The first item for your review is Special Use 2001. The subject site is located within the South Tampa Planning District. There is transit along Kennedy Boulevard. The site is located within a Level D evacuation zone. Just gonna stand. Here we have the subject site. It's, this is Roland Street, and then you've got Sterling. This is the CVS over at Kennedy and Dale Mabry. And you can see Roland and South is predominantly single-family detached. There are some future townhomes over here to the west. Here we have the future land use map. You can see the subject site and all the properties to the south and to the east are all that residential 10 future land use. To the west, across Sterling Avenue, is residential 20. Directly to the north, you have the urban mixed use 60, future land use category, and then to the northwest, you have the regional mixed use 100, and then there's some community mixed use 35 further south on Dale Mabry Highway. The Tampa Comprehensive Plan encourages off-street parking where appropriate in the urban setting. The proposed parking would support the adjoining commercial strip center located to the north of the subject site. The surrounding area is a mixture of single-family detached housing and support uses for the commercial uses located to the north along West Kennedy Boulevard. To the east of the subject site on West Roland Street at the corner of South Himes Avenue and West Kennedy Boulevard is parking for associated commercial uses within the residential 10 future land use designation. The introduction of an off-street parking lot would not be out of character for this portion of West Roland Street. In conclusion, the proposed use of the site would provide additional parking for the commercial uses to the north. And furthermore, the request is consistent with the uses allowed within the residential 10 future land use category. And based on those considerations, the Planning Commission staff finds the special use request consistent with the provisions of the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Ryan Manassi, Planning, Design, and Development Coordination. Again, the applicant is requesting a special use on the property at 3619 West Roland Street for off-street commercial parking lot to provide for parking for the commercial uses to the north. The subject property is zoned RS60 and it requires City Council review and approval through the special use process. The applicant is requesting 3 waivers that are identified in your staff report on page 1. The subject property is 0.1 acre and is located 1 lot to the south of West Kennedy Boulevard and South Sterling Avenue intersections. The subject application proposes a total of 13 parking spaces. The proposed driveway does not connect to the existing commercial uses to the north, but it does provide pedestrian sidewalk connections. This request will serve restaurant, retail, personal services, and office uses located at the commercial general zoning district to the north. There are no historic landmark structures within 1,000 feet of the subject property, and the Development Review and Compliance staff has reviewed the application and finds the request consistent with the City of Tampa Land Development Code. Should it be the pleasure of City Council to approve this application, the waivers identified in the report, further modifications to the site plan will be required between first and second reading as provided on the revision sheet in your staff report. I'd like to show you some pictures. And as David pointed out here, this is just an aerial map from the City of Tampa. So the subject property is located here in red. The commercial uses are to the north of the subject property. And I'll show you the site plan here in a second that shows you the commercial uses that it's providing parking for. So subject site outlined in bold. Here's the 13 parking spaces. Here's the access and the pedestrian walkway that connects to the commercial strip center to the north. This is the subject site. This is looking south, which would be the pedestrian connection. This is part of the strip, mostly of the strip center. It extends a little bit further over here to the east. It's serving to the north. This is the east neighbor at 3617 West Roland. This is the south neighbor at 3620 West Roland. And this is West Sterling Avenue and Roland intersections. Again, staff did find this consistent with the revisions made between first and second reading should City Council approve this petition, and staff is available for any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for staff? Councilman Dingfelder.
Thank you. Ryan, in regard, so this is an existing shopping plaza with, I think, what, 1 or 2 restaurants or something in it? Is that correct?
Correct, sir. There's, I believe it's Renzo's that's occupied here, and then like, as stated in the staff report, there are some office uses and personal service uses that are strung out through the strip center here.
Okay. When you investigated this and evaluated it as professional planners, you're recommending approval. Do you have concerns that there's inadequate parking right now in terms of what's up there on Kennedy? Is that part of your reasoning? And also, have you had any, you or transportation, I think we have a representative for transportation, have we had any complaints from overflow parking for any of these retail uses?
I'll say no to the review. As far as the uses to the north, I wouldn't, they're not, it could be a legal use that is already existing with that existing parking lot. Staff doesn't look into whether or not there's dissatisfaction with the parking or not. And staff hasn't.
You're not evaluating adequacy parking of the existing condition?
No, sir. So the special use before you is for the specific lot 3619 West Roland. The reason we have it included on the site plan is to better show you how it's serving that commercial use to the north.
Okay. And perhaps transportation come up, Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with you, very quickly, and speak to whether or not under the existing condition, the current condition, if there's concerns about overflow parking coming out in that neighborhood, do you guys get calls from the neighborhood about, on-street parking and overflow parking from any of those establishments?
Jonathan Scott, Transportation Planning. I'm not aware of any complaints in that area. I haven't seen any. That wasn't a part of our review, but I'm not aware of any for this particular case at the time.
Okay. All right. And you said your review, did you have a report on this or what?
Typically, we don't look at complaints like that if there was. But if there was a, parking waiver, which in this case there isn't, we would object to a parking waiver. But in this case, there is no parking waiver being requested, just extra parking. So we would be encouraging such a request.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, if you do not mind, a question for staff. Any of the businesses in this strip center, were any parking waivers requested at the time of their opening?
Staff wouldn't have that. This is not, for this report, this is specifically focusing on 3619 West Roland. It's providing additional lot for parking. So we're not taking into account.
I'm looking more toward the strip center.
Correct.
This may not be adequate for me to ask, but I'm asking it anyways. Is there adequate parking for that strip center? Do you know?
We don't know.
Yeah, we wouldn't know.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, anything else? All right, petitioner.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the City Council. My name is John Grandoff, and I have the pleasure of representing 3636 Kennedy Boulevard this evening. My mailing address is Suite 3700 Bank of America Plaza. And joining me this evening is Mark Gaines and Suzanne Gaines, who own the plaza, along with Steve Gaines, Mark's brother. And I've represented them for many years with this property. I'd like to briefly set the stage for you, and then Mark would like to come up and give you a day in the life at 3636 Kennedy Boulevard. As Mr. Manassi explained, it's on the corner of Sterling and Kennedy on the southeast corner, immediately behind the Renzo's Argentine restaurant. And I want you to keep in perspective this evening the fact that you're not here considering a parking waiver for a change. you're here considering more parking to support an ongoing businessman and his tenants in a building that was built in 1967. This is a classic problem we have in the Inner Bay Peninsula, is you have a retrofit of older 1960s built, post-World War II built vintage buildings, and everyone has a car. So we're trying to provide more parking. There are waivers involved. A waiver is a distance waiver. There's also 2 buffer waivers that I'll explain later in the remaining part of my case. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mark Gaines, who will speak to you for a few moments.
Can you hear me? Fine. Mr. Chairman, gentlemen of City Council, thank you for allowing me to speak before you tonight. I own the shopping plaza at the corner of Kennedy Boulevard and Sterling Street. I've been a respectful, contributing member of Bon Air subdivision and community for the past 22 years. My tenants and myself are glad to be part of Bon Air. Our building clearly displays the pride and commitment that we have to the community, and let me show you that. This is the west side of my shopping center, showing a large mural that introduces Bon Air to our customers and to the neighborhood in general. It was put there by my tenant, Renzo's Restaurant, and it's a fine amenity to the property. I may continue then. Bon Air was always meant to be both residential and commercial in nature. Kennedy Boulevard, Del Mabry, Azeel, Swan, they all have lots that are part of the Bon Air community. It is very important to our neighborhood and to the city of Tampa that the commercial component of Bon Air remains successful and vibrant. Sorry, let me get another visual, please. My plaza has been successful. For the past 12 years, we have had permission to send cars that could not find space in my center when they arrived across the street to park at the church property owned by my neighbor, Jim Mikes. Unfortunately, this accommodation is soon to end. Mr. Mikes is ready to get his townhouse and commercial project underway. My overflow cars need to find a new parking spot, or they will ultimately wind up, I believe, in the Bon Air neighborhood. If this happens, I don't think that people on Roland Street will be happy if this should occur. And I am trying to be the best neighbor possible. I'm here today to demonstrate my neighborhood commitment. My good neighbor solution is to use a single residential lot adjacent to my center for parking. Overflow cars from my plaza will enter the parking lot. When they leave, they will exit north to Kennedy. This parking lot that I envision is thoughtfully planned, landscaped, and buffered. allowing parking for 13 cars. This is my property from an aerial view. And we can see that we have my commercial center here on Kennedy. Right now, cars are able to come across Sterling and overflow into Mr. Jim Mike's property. My goal tonight is to have those cars leave that arrangement and come over here across Sterling to this residential parking lot. Parking lot expansions into residential parts of Bon Air are not anything new. We find them behind the Press Box and Shell's restaurants on Del Mabry, and behind the Medical Plaza on Kennedy and Himes. I believe opposition to my project will say that commercial does not belong near residential, that allowing parking next to residential will bring down property values. But the facts prove otherwise. The east end of Roland is now a parking lot using 4 Roland Street residential lots to park cars for Kennedy Medical Clinic. The east end of Roland has, in fact, enjoyed a very significant and successful development. I'd like to point out that 3 custom high-end homes have been built directly across from this existing Roland parking lot. A brand new $1.2 million home is coming out of the ground now and will be completed in August. This home is right next to the west wall of this existing Roland parking lot. The facts point out clearly that the existence of an adjacent parking lot did not hurt or devalue adjoining Bon Air properties. Negative effects did not occur. Demand and development remains brisk throughout Bon Air. I believe opposition to my project will also say that they stand united against change. I took it upon myself to walk the entire neighborhood, knocking on doors and talking to as many Bon Air neighbors as I could. I am here today to report that there is strong support for my project across the entire subdivision. I have page after page of support from my neighbors in Bon Air, totaling 84 signatures. In particular, they have signed the following: we, the residents of Bon Air neighborhood, support reducing nearby customer parking in the streets in front of our homes. We support businesses that increase their on-site parking. We support the plan attached designed to keep parking on-site next to the adjoining business center and not in front of our Bon Air homes. These are 84 signatures of residents of Bon Air. Finally, I also met with the Bon Air Neighborhood Association. Based on their suggestions, I modified my original plan in a number of ways. I have lowered the screening fence from, it starts at 6 feet, and at the front setback of the adjacent home, it goes down to 3 feet. This was suggested by the Bonnier Civic Association to allow for a better visual when looking down the street. I have also increased the landscape buffer in front of the property, which fronts Roland. And I have included a signage for right turn only coming out of the parking lot and directing cars to exit onto Kennedy Boulevard. I have a picture here, and there's also a copy of it on the easel. This was Roland Street, February 15th, 2020. This is Roland Street that was snarled by a parking overflow from one of the neighborhood college-age parties. I am a good neighbor. I do not want Roland Street to look like this every day. I am trying to avoid this. Our neighborhood deserves a good parking plan. I thank City Council for the opportunity to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Grandolph.
Annie? How much? Please hold my time for a moment. Can you see this on the overhead? Let me orient it. Okay. I'd like to briefly explain the waivers and pick up on them on rebuttal, but let me just start. There's 3 waivers involved. First of all, Renzo's is over here to the north. Here's Roland Street. This is the property where we're going to put the parking lot, 13 spaces. Waiver number 1 is the parking lot for an adjacent commercial use cannot extend beyond 100 feet. We're 127 feet. That's waiver number 1. Waiver number 2, you have to buffer the parking lot from an adjacent residential use. There's a residential use here by 15 feet. We're reducing the buffer from 15 feet to 12 feet. Why? Because we have to have enough room for the cars to turn around in the parking lot. If we had 15 feet, we'd give it, but we have to make the parking lot function. We will also include a 6-foot PVC fence as required on this lot line. Waiver number 3 is you also need a buffer against this right-of-way here. We're reducing that also from, I believe, 10 feet to 8 feet. Again, the reason is we need to be able to fit the cars in there. And another reason is we're on a corner, and this space here, this green space between the property line and the right-of-way line is 27 feet. So we're burdened by an extensive corner yard, which eats into the property that we have available to build the parking spaces. One other thing I want to point out is that Mark brought up is we have a right turn only, so when you're leaving the parking lot, you turn right and go immediately to Kennedy Boulevard instead of turning left and going into the neighborhood. So we're trying to control that exit. Stormwater pond here, crepe myrtle trees here. As Mark explained, there's a drop down of the fence to 3 feet here to preserve the vista looking down the street. And speaking of vistas, this is the property that Mark was talking about, the medical center on the opposite side of Roland. This is at Roland and Himes, just south of the Himes and Kennedy intersection. There's Mark was showing you from the other side, there's a parking lot on the other side there. Clearly, here's a better view. I'm looking north on Himes. To the left is Roland Street. We're on the opposite side of Roland. Clearly, we're not establishing a precedent, which is one of the criteria that is in the special use general standards, that we not be establishing a precedent. Pardon me for a moment. I want to go back to Mr. Hayes' findings, which is very instructive on page 3, the middle paragraph. Number 1, the Tampa Comprehensive Plan encourages off-street parking where appropriate in urban settings. Why? Because the comprehensive plan discourages waivers, which you consider time after time after time after time. No parking count waiver.
Thank you very much, sir.
Number two, may I wrap up with one sentence?
Go ahead.
The last sentence of that paragraph, the introduction of an off-street parking lot would not be out of character for this portion of Roland Street. Thank you for your time. I will continue my comments on rebuttal.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council members? Councilmember Citro.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Grandolph?
Yes.
I need to start out by saying, what are the businesses in the strip center? Excuse me, let me start off by asking this question so I clarify my other questions. What is this parking lot going to be used for?
The strip center immediately to the north that's owned by my client.
Thank you very much. What are the businesses in that strip center?
Pardon me for a moment, I need to get that out of my file. Just take a second.
Go right ahead. And council, I hope you don't mind. I understand that this is for the use of the off-site parking. I just need to know what the off-site parking is going to be used so that I can go into my other questions. Council, is that all right?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
You have, number one, you have Renzo's Restaurant, which is on the corner at Sterling. You have, right now, a vacant space. And then you have 3 tenants. One, I believe, is a print shop. And the others, Mark? There's 2 more.
If I may?
Yeah.
Renzo's Restaurant is on the corner. Next to Renzo's is not vacant. It is, it has a tenant that is Tampa Printers. They print graphics and commercial printing. And then there is a second building with 3 smaller tenants, and they are a home health care company that sends nurses out and healthcare people to homes. There is a beauty salon, and there is a therapeutic foot massage tenant.
So we can safely say that those other businesses besides the restaurant will probably close somewhere around 6, 7 o'clock at night. So we can safely say that?
Definitely.
Okay, so my concern then is the restaurant itself. What are the hours of the restaurant?
I have someone here that's going to speak to that, but I believe they close around 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night.
Okay, it's just my point is going to be the traffic going to and from your strip center could be as late as 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Well, it could, that's possible, but the center closes down, thins out very definitely at 5:30, 6 o'clock. And there is all the remaining parking is employed and used by Renzo's for their evening people.
Is there going to be any valet parking in the future?
I don't believe that's contemplated, no.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Any other members of council have questions?
Mr. Maniscalco, I'd like to finish my answer to Mr.
Go ahead.
Citro.
Mr. Citro, pardon me. And you had a question earlier, had there been any waivers? I want to be candid with you. On the restaurant special use, a waiver was granted years ago from 25 spaces required to 19 spaces required. And that was approved by City Council on the special use 2. There are 37 spaces on the property.
Thank you, Mr. Randolph.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. We will go to public comment. Is everybody that's in the room here to speak? All right. Has everyone been sworn in? If you have not, please stand to be sworn, and we'll do it now.
You swear or affirm you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, sir. You'll be the first speaker. Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Good evening. I'm Bob Hunter, B-O-B-H-U-N-T-E-R. I live at 4111 Kipling Avenue, Plant City, Florida, 33566. I'm representing the residents of Roland Street. As an expert witness, I provide my comments and credentials to the clerk. My credentials are, I was Director of Planning for the cities of San Antonio, Texas, Reno, Nevada, Kansas City, Missouri, and for 26 years, Executive Director of the Hillsborough County City-County Planning Commission. I was President of the American Planning Association. I am a certified planner, and I'm a fellow in the American Institute of Certified Planners. My comments are, and you've already heard it by the applicant, there goes the neighborhood. We hear that a lot. My comments are real tight, 3 minutes, so I'm going to read pretty fast. Council members, please don't let that saying apply in this case to your Bon Air neighborhood, to tear down a house and build a parking lot. As businesses encroach into neighborhoods, they buy a vulnerable house, let it deteriorate, then say it's dilapidated. Apply for a special use permit and some waivers, saying they're going to, quote, improve the neighborhood, unquote, with clearing the lot, paving the lot, putting in landscaping, and even beautiful blue water, stormwater retention elements, as you have seen. That's a standard development equation to destroying stable neighborhoods. That should not be. From a city planning perspective, I urge you not to let that happen to this stable neighborhood. In my professional opinion, it's inappropriate, it's unhealthy, it's bad planning, and it's damaging to the Bon Air neighborhood. As you know, Tampa is a city of diverse neighborhoods. Many, while diverse, are stable, strong, and remain a safe place for family living, raising children, visiting family and friends, knowing your neighbor, and retaining your home's value as your primary investment. This residential lot must remain a part of the Bon Air neighborhood and not allowed to be converted to a 13-car commercial parking lot, intruding into the neighborhood as a commercial eyesore. It does not fit here. It detracts. Please don't let it happen. The Bon Air neighborhood that goes southward is stable and needs your protection. Incremental zoning by special use permit, and as the waivers were mentioned, and waivers were obtained 25 years ago, if allowed, will continue to destroy this neighborhood because it's like the frog in the pot of slow boiling water. When you realize it, it's too late. And in this Bon Air case, in a few months, perhaps another single special use commercial use permit application, just one more small parking lot on a residential lot. It's inappropriate for this residential neighborhood. This commercial parking is not appropriate and inconsistent with the residential neighborhood. Don't let it get started. Just say no. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
I'm Pamela Jo Hatley. I represent Ron and Carol Kilgore. They own property at 3617 and 3618 West Roland. The city should deny this special use request because it is not consistent with the Tampa Comprehensive Plan, and it does not meet the general or specific standards for a commercial parking lot in Res 60 zoning district. First of all, it's not consistent with the comprehensive plan, the following policies. Land use policy 9.2.1, which requires the city to protect, promote, and maintain residential neighborhoods. Objective 9.5 and policy 9.5.1, which require the city to maintain the stability of existing areas and protect low-density single-family areas that provide residents with privacy and open spaces. Policy 9.5.4, which requires the city to maintain the character of existing single-family areas, and policy 9.5.5, which requires the city to limit the non-residential uses permitted in single-family residential areas to protect those areas from the negative impacts of incompatible uses. Second, it does not meet the general standards for a special use because it would be a disruptive intrusion into this quiet residential neighborhood, and it is not compatible with the surrounding uses. It seeks waivers that will just intensify the intrusion and the adverse impacts of the commercial use. And there's already a commercial parking lot on this block at Roland and Himes. Adding another one will establish a precedent and encourage more intensive or incompatible commercial uses in this neighborhood. Number three, the request does not meet the specific standards for a special use because it seeks a waiver to extend the parking area as far as possible into this residential lot, even though the specific standards in the Tampa Code require that in no case shall the parking area extend more than 100 feet from the closest boundary of the commercial zoning lot. It also seeks a waiver to reduce the buffers and the screening, even though the specific standards of the code require the commercial parking lot to be screened from all adjacent residential uses in accordance with code requirements. The waivers, of course, should not be granted since the request does not meet the general standards of the code for special use, and the waivers would intensify the adverse impacts to this neighborhood. And since the request does not meet the general or the specific special use standards, and it is not consistent with the Tampa Comprehensive Plan policies established to protect residential single-family home communities, this special use request should be denied, and we ask that you do that tonight.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, council members. My name is Dee Dee Waldron, spelled D-E-D-E, and Waldron, W-A-L-D-R-O-N, 3614 West Roland Street. I ask you tonight to deny the special use request because it brings an intrusive commercial use into our quiet residential neighborhood. As stated in Land Use Policy 9.5.5, limit the number and types of non-residential uses permitted in single-family residential areas to protect those areas from the negative impacts of incompatible use. Our neighborhood consists of mixed ages, from college students to young couples to families with children to retirees. On any given day, you will find on our sidewalk parents pushing strollers, little peeps as I call them, young kids riding tricycles and bicycles, neighbors walking pets, and those walking for exercises. Our neighbors look out for each other. Our local college student, I am sure, is thankful for all the extra parents that look out for him. I know I am blessed. I have received the best unsolicited advice from this little neighborhood. One of the objectives of the Tampa Comprehensive Plan, Land Use Policy 9.5.1 states, protect low-density, single-family areas that provide opportunities for home ownership that are attractive to households with children and other residents, that provide residents with privacy and open spaces accessible to residents. A commercial parking lot is not consistent with our neighborhood. It does not foster community pride nor enhance our neighborhood identity, and it is definitely not family friendly, which our goals stated in your NE policy 1.1.3. It will detract from the appearance of our neighborhood, and it will negatively impact our property values. Our latest resident to Roland Street is 2.5-year-old Eliza. And when Eliza is not falling off her scooter, she is decorating our sidewalks. And when Eliza runs out of room, every neighbor avails their sidewalk to Eliza to decorate. We welcome many more Elizas to pave the way to Roland Street versus a parking lot. I thank you for letting me speak, and I greatly appreciate you helping us keep our quiet residential neighborhood. It is a delightful place to live. I welcome you to come visit and meet our local artist, Eliza. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Trish Moore, 3612 West Platt Street, and I'm asking that you deny this request. My husband and I helped our daughter purchase 3612 West Platt Street in 2019. I have been there every day for 8 months renovating this home, and the process is still going on. Being there every day, I have experienced a close relationship with the neighbors in the neighborhood. The Bon Air neighborhood is being eroded by commercial businesses. This picture here shows how Bon Air is surrounded on all sides by commercial. We are a shortcut for traffic between Dale Mabry and Himes, as well as between Kennedy, Azeel, and Swan. One thing I want to make really clear is that in the 70s, Tampa neighborhoods did not have the input with the city that they have today. During that time, a parking lot at 3600 West Kennedy Boulevard was extended into the Bon Air neighborhood on Roland Street. And the board here shows exactly what that intrusion looks like. It is a 6-foot-high block wall with a bright blue backflow and no landscaping. Now, almost 50 years later, we are facing the same commercial intrusion into Bon Air again. And I'm not going to repeat all the land use policies that were talked about, but I want you to see that the property, the home that's there, is really a very beautiful lot. The home itself is quaint. And then down below is a wall on Cleveland Street that backs up to the Shell restaurant. We don't want that to happen again. Those walls came early on, 70s, early 80s. We have a land use plan today that is way better than what it was back then. So I'm asking you to not support this. Two wrongs do not make a right. One blighted east end of Roland does not justify doing the same to the west end of the street. You can't walk across the street to a parking lot and invite it to a neighborhood potluck dinner. You can't ask about your children and what schools they go to. You can't create a neighbor out of a parking lot. The neighborhood of Bon Air deserves to be protected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Thank you. Larry Waldron, 3614 West Roland Street. Our property is 4 homes to the east of the property requesting a special use. I ask that you reject the special use request for 3619 West Roland Street. Since my wife stole most of my message already, I'm just going to say 2 points. One, commercial parking lots, no matter how well they're managed, are going to invariably bring on an undesirable and sometimes illegal activity. We don't need that in our neighborhood. Number 2, I think all you gentlemen, if had the option, would choose not to live next to a commercial parking lot at your residence or in your neighborhood. And finally, the most important thing, I want to wish my wife a happy birthday.
Thank you very much, and happy birthday. Next speaker, please.
Hello, I'm Terrence Moore. My address is 1801 East Okaloosa Avenue in Tampa. I first moved into the Bon Air neighborhood in the early 80s and lived there for many years. It was a beautiful neighborhood. I loved it then. I still love it. I still have a lot of friends there. I go there a lot. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It's a stable neighborhood. There are a lot of people there who've been there since the 70s, 60s even. But it's a neighborhood that's challenged. It's a neighborhood that's delicate because it's a small neighborhood. It's got Kennedy to the north, Dale Mabry to the west. Not far away is Henderson, and it's dissected by Swan and Azeel. It's delicate. Whether it's going to survive as a residential neighborhood depends on the kind of decisions that you make, and you should favor this residential neighborhood and allow it to survive. And the more you make more and more encroachments on it, the less likely it will survive. I like the neighborhood so much that some years ago, well, recently, my daughter was looking for a place to live. She was in St. Pete. I said, come back to Tampa. What are you doing over there? And I showed her this beautiful neighborhood where I used to live when I was about her age. It's a great place for a first home. She loved it too. We helped her buy her home. We invested a lot of money in her home. A lot of people are putting money, fixing up this neighborhood, preserving this neighborhood. That's a great thing. And she's made it beautiful. She's very happy there. It's a beautiful, stable neighborhood. Don't let it go to the dogs. Now, I understand the position, the arguments that people make when they're talking about problems with parking in restaurants. Because I've developed 3 restaurants in Tampa. I still own one of them. And in them, we had parking problems. We didn't tear down houses to solve our parking problems. We didn't obliterate the neighborhood to solve a parking problem. We did various things, including having valet parking. And on one occasion, we appeared before a very august legislative and body on a parking issue. That body was Tampa City Council. And they ordered us, they said, if you want to enhance this building, you will have to deal with the parking issue, and you will have to get remote parking. They ordered it. It was the 909 West Kennedy Boulevard, if you want to check the record. The Outpost Restaurant, we owned it. And we did what they said. We got the remote parking. We didn't destroy the neighborhood. Now the University of Tampa owns that property, and the neighborhood wasn't destroyed. Don't let this neighborhood be destroyed. Little by little, it will be, because it's very small. And you see it already. There's parking lots around. They could get, this petitioner here could get remote parking, probably from the medical center they've talked about. They don't operate at night. Don't let them tear down a house in this beautiful neighborhood and detract from the neighborhood. Preserve the neighborhood. Deny this petition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Ma'am?
Good evening. My name is Carol Kilgore. My husband and I own two homes on Rowland Street, 3617 and 3618. I bought the first house in 1960, and I raised 5 children there. My husband and I own 3617. It's a rental, and it's next door to 3619, which is to be destroyed. It's a RS60 neighborhood, single-family dwelling, and we've owned it since 1992, and my mother and father had it before that, 25 years. And we're afraid of the parking of the cars and disturbing of the tenants that we have and their privacy, and from the noise and the lights, and et cetera, and the safety from the parking of the cars from at least 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or later from the restaurant. And the fact there is only 8 feet between the property line and the plastic fence and the drainage of water runoff from asphalt paving and causing rodents and bugs, etc. This is storm water. It's a shoddy planning and is insufficient. The waivers Mr. Gaines is asking for is unacceptable and substandard on a substandard lot, 3619. Please deny Mr. Gaines' request. And we've had a nice home there, and it's quiet. And we're afraid of losing our equity in both of the homes because it's just going to be substandard after that. And thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Hi, Loretta Fazio, 3604 West Cleveland, and it's spelled Loretta, F as in Frank, Azio. I've been there for 30 years, and we've had the luxury of Renzo being there. It's a great little restaurant, but they've never had enough parking, and they've had the ability to park next door. It's been great for everybody, but now that's changed. So I understand the investment. He has this shop center, and he wants to have the parking and keep this. But there's no winning. I mean, it's either one's going to have to pay, and we're just asking. We bought the investment of our houses. Nothing's changed for us, so we're asking, please keep our investments because things haven't changed for us. The change has happened at the strip center and the parking where they were using it. They're just going to have to find alternatives somewhere else, but not in our neighborhood. So we're asking, please keep our houses. We have, like they've talked all along, constraints. There used to be houses all the way to Dale Mabry. There used to be some on Kennedy, and all at the front. That's all changed. But we're just, please, Sterling's the inside of our neighborhood, and if one goes, there's another salon down the street that is parking, doesn't have enough parking. They're gonna be looking at the house behind them, and it just will change everything in our neighborhood. So we're just asking you, please deny the waiver. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Sir, this side. They're going to sanitize that one.
Good evening. My name is Ronald Kilgore. We own the properties, my wife and I, at 3617 and 3618. The property at 3617, of course, is rented right now. I have great concerns about this neighborhood, the preservation of our values for the people who recently purchased homes in this neighborhood are very fine people. Now, Mr. Gaines just mentioned to you just a few minutes ago that he has a list of all the persons who are for this land change, special use. Well, I think in front of each one of you right now, you have a list of all those persons who oppose. Is that true? Do you have that? A list?
We do. I have it right here. I believe other council members have them as well.
I very much oppose this entire process because it compromises the value we have in all of our properties in the neighborhood. It's not consistent with good planning to have a parking lot on such a nice street that we have. I also want to point out that the other parking lot on Rowland Street was required to be set back to be even with the front yard setback of homes. This one is asking for a waiver to extend all the way. I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
I had a question for that gentleman.
Yes, sir.
Sir, could I ask you a question? Yes, sir. You could just go to the microphone, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think your properties are immediately, what, adjacent or across the street?
3617 is right next to the 3619 property.
Right.
It's currently occupied by 2 school teachers at Plant High School.
Okay.
They have a very difficult job right now. Any type of noise or intrusion in that parking lot is going to be a direct problem for those tenants that I have. I'm trying to preserve a peaceful environment for my tenants.
Yes, sir. My question, and I appreciate that. My question is this: you made the point at the very end of your presentation about the, I think it's the third waiver. Let's see. No, it's the first waiver they're asking for in terms of the additional 27.5 feet. That they're coming a little too close to Rowland Street, and the first waiver says they're only supposed to be 100 feet, and they're looking for the whole 127 feet. It looks like for an additional 3 parking spaces. If they weren't doing that, would you still have a problem with this entire parking lot?
Yes, yes, sir, I would. It's just, it doesn't fit in with the natural order of things to have a residential area where we're paying taxes on an RS6 property, and then suddenly I'm going to be looking at a special use parking lot.
Okay.
It just doesn't seem to me to fit in with the greater plan for a great neighborhood. That's what we're after.
I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't your only issue. You have the issue with the bigger picture.
Right, the big picture. I would totally oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Hi. Hi, my name is Richard Wheeler, Richard Wheeler, and I live at 3610 West Rowland Street, down the street from the property we're talking about. I'd like to clarify one thing to begin with. I'm opposed to that, of course. The petitioners made reference to the parking lot that exists right now down at the corner of Himes and Rowland Street. That, at the time that property the zoning was affected and whatever happened to that, the owner of the property at that time, that was a Spanish restaurant that was opening on Kennedy, where the medical clinic is now. That contractor wanted to utilize the entire property all the way to the sidewalk on Rowland Street for parking. And so he went through the process with the city, whatever he needed to do, and he got permission, I guess, to run up to the 100-foot line. He put in a concrete wall that went out to the sidewalk. In other words, he took the additional 27 feet or 30 feet or whatever it might have been and ran a concrete block wall out to the sidewalk and around the sidewalk and back to the rest of the parking lot. When the city found out about this, they knew that that would be devastating to the neighborhood, and the city required him to demolish that wall. And the remnants of that wall still exist to this day. The staff can go out there along the sidewalk on Roland Street and find where the concrete block was cut off at ground level from that prior wall. And the reason that the city required that be torn down and that a new wall be constructed back at the 100-foot level was because the city recognized that bringing the wall out, that 27 to 30 feet, would be devastating to the neighborhood. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is that the Bon Air neighborhood, which is, it's only 2 blocks wide, but that is the gateway to South Tampa. Almost everybody that comes from the airport, comes from downtown, comes from the interstate, proceeding to South Tampa, they will take Himes Avenue down on their way down to the Plant High School area and points further south. And what they see when they drive through gives them a good idea about what Tampa is like. And it's critical to Tampa that Bon Air be protected. It's critical for us as inhabitants, but it's also extremely important to Tampa. There are larger issues here than just that block in Roland Street. We beg you to please turn this application down.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Waldron, Rhettwaldron. Thank you for having me. Upon completion of my graduate studies, hopefully in a few years, I hope to purchase 3614 West Roland Street from my parents. I ask you to deny the proposed lot just because I fear it will have a domino effect on the Roland Street neighborhood. I hope to raise my own family on the street and give them a experience that I had growing up, a small family-friendly neighborhood that unfortunately is not too common in South Tampa anymore. Roland's a great street to raise a family, and I'm just worried that by the time I have the opportunity to own a house there, it will no longer exist. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, New Council. How are you today? My name is Renzo. I am the operating manager and family owned of the restaurant Renzo's. We've been there for 11 years. I get along and I know pretty much a lot of the people in the neighborhood of Bon Air. I am a resident of North Bon Air myself. I rent. I'm building my own family on myself. I love the neighborhood. I'm trying to protect it. We are a family-operated restaurant. Our hours of operations are from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We do not have alcohol. We do not have partying. It's family-friendly. Everybody comes with their kids, and we're just trying to grow like the rest of the community is, and we're very happy there, and we would like to continue operating there. We have a little bit of issues with parking. At the moment, Mr. Jim has been providing us with the parking lot next door for a long time, and it has helped us, but in the future, he's gonna be building his condos and commercial property, and we will no longer have that parking for all of the people that work there, from the print shop to the home good place to Renzo's itself. So just want to let you guys know that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Muriel Moore. That's M-U-R-I-E-L. Last name Moore. Excuse me, M-O-O-R-E. I live at 3612 West Platte Street. I was born and raised in Tampa. When I came back from law school, came back home, I wanted a home in my community. I looked all over the city, and I found Bon Air. You already heard from my dad. He lived in Bon Air. So I purchased my first home a little over a year ago. Like many people, my home is my biggest asset. I'm a public interest attorney. It's basically my only asset, and its value is of extreme importance to me. Additionally, based on my excitement about the neighborhood, my aunt, Dee Dee Waldron, and my uncle, Larry Waldron, purchased a home on Roland. My best friend's mother is currently looking for a home in Bon Air. It's a place where people want to live, and it's a place worth protecting. My own lot abuts a property that fronts a Zeal. It's a commercial property. It's a law firm. There are a number of commercial properties like that, and my fear is that if we have this home, this really beautiful home on Roland Street turned into a parking lot, that's not going to be the only one, and it's going to permanently change the face of the neighborhood. That's not something I can accept, and I'm asking you to protect my property and my neighbor's property by denying this.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Jim Mikes, M-I-K-E-S. I am the owner, well, my entity that I'm the sole owner of is the owner of the 2.1 acres that exist between the proposed parking lot and the CVS. It has two buildings on it, the church which I bought in 2001, and shortly thereafter the city came to me along with Christ the King and asked would I host the Faith Cafe. I became the pariah for the Bon Air neighborhood as a result of doing what the city asked and what Christ the King asked, and we hosted the Faith Cafe for no cost to them for 12 years. I have gone through a series of different contracts, proposed uses for that 2 acres, extending from Publix contract to First Citizens Bank and Trust, Florida Central Credit Union, each of which ran into their own problems relative to getting the property in a state that they could develop. I've now, in talking with residents, particularly Sean's been, I think you're in it, Sean Wilson has been marvelous, and with his input, I have come to the conclusion that what I will do is exactly what the council did approve for David Nakui, and David is developing 11 townhomes on the south side of Roland. Well, on my 5 plus whatever 310 feet of Roland on the north side, I'll do a comparable, although upgraded version of what David is doing. I know Mary Semenigo has been has seen the plan. We stopped because of the COVID issue, but that'll be back. It'll be before you probably within 6 months. A PD plan for 19 townhomes, a better, a step up of what David's doing. I'm willing to take the chance that and support keeping Renzo in our neighborhood and allowing Mark to be able to provide him with adequate parking to take the 12 or 13 cars that I have allowed for the last 12 or 13 years to park on the property where the church is. I know some of you are familiar with that church building, which I have donated the use to a series of different congregations, the last one being Kenny Gant's FaithWorks, who had to move out once the COVID hit. So Kenny no longer has his church there, so right now it's not being used. We will take down that building. We will build a new one. We will build a building with offices on the bottom and 30 studio apartments above. We'll take De Leon Sheffield's building. We'll renovate that and turn that into not change it much, just, okay, excuse me. Bottom line, I would like to see, I have no doubt that the values will hold and that parking lot will have no negative impact on my ability to develop the townhomes adjacent to it that'll sell at very high prices. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Shelley Romanek, Shelley, Romanek, Rumenik, and I currently own a home on Sterling and Cleveland Street. I have a family with 2 children. We are outside, as many of the neighbors can attest to, every day, walking, coloring on the sidewalks, riding our tricycles, exercising, all of the above. I would also like to start by saying this is probably not the fairest representation of all of the neighbors who would like to be here to come out and support this because of the COVID and because people couldn't get sitters because of that, and also the weather didn't help. So I think our numbers would be even larger than you see here today. I'm asking you to formally deny each one of the applicant's requests as well. There were a couple of things said. I just want to clarify that the large Bonaire mural on the side of the building that he referred to, I don't care for it. I know plenty of other people don't care for it, so that's one thing that he said that is helpful to our neighborhood or that we appreciate, and I'm not sure that that is the case. Like also stated, he has used the property Jim Micus owns, and there have been years and years of promises and ideas for development on that property that hasn't come to fruition. I hope it does, but it's been tons and tons of promises. So I don't see that parking option for them going away. And truthfully, I, as a resident on Sterling and Cleveland, just 1 block south of Roland, welcome on-street parking because the traffic and the speeding down our road on Sterling is insane. It's dangerous, and I only think people pulling out of that parking lot will do the same thing. I appreciate them saying they're going to put the right turn only, but we all know that that's not going to be enforced, and it's not enough. We also heard them say that there really isn't a need for more spots. And there's not a need for more spots, and there's been no complaints about on-street parking or additional parking. So they're trying to tear down one of our neighborhoods, one of our houses in our neighborhood for no reason. I'd also like to state that anyone or most people who may be signed in support of this becoming a parking lot likely lives south of Azeel, which is not directly affected by this. And as you can see, those people who maybe signed that they're in support of the parking lot are not here to support it in person. It didn't matter enough to them. We will not allow a house to be torn down and replaced by a parking lot. It won't, like everyone else said, the intrusion to our neighborhood will not stop if you all allow that. And we are asking you, and I'm personally begging you, for me and my children, and our investment into Bonaire, to please deny this parking lot.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
My name is Gus Sambus, and I live at, this photograph was up earlier, and I don't know, oh, now it's up. I live in this house, 3606 West Roland, and obviously there's the house, oh, I didn't spell my name, it's Gustssambis. I am speaking against the parking lot. Basically, this is what I look at every morning. This right here. And that is the wall and the pipe. I guess that's the a lift station of sorts for water. These are the other houses that Mr. Gaines showed the empty lot prior to them being built. Now, obviously, we have a substantial investment. We moved to this neighborhood. We fell in love with it immediately. And we just don't want it, you know, I saw hope because I can look to my left and not have to look at these pipes. Now, I see if we have this on one side of Roland and then we're going to end up with a parking lot on the other side, I don't see how it could not diminish the value of the property. We do feel as a collective group here that altogether that it would diminish the value of our property, and that's why we're speaking against it. I certainly understand from a business perspective of if and why he needs it, but as it's evident that there's plenty of parking spaces for the businesses that exist there. And the point is, even if there was only, if you reduced it from 13 to 12 to 10 spaces, that would only be enough spaces perhaps for his employees. The employees are more than welcome to park on Roland Street, and I think all of us would agree with that. And again, I spoke against it, and I hope that the commission rules in our favor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Carlson.
Can I just ask you, sir, you just said that you think most of the neighborhoods are okay if the patrons park on Roland Street. Is there parking on both sides of that street? Sorry.
No, usually one side.
One side, and so you all are okay if the cars fill the.
That's what happens now. They're building a house right across the street from me, and they park there constantly. And as they pointed out, the picture that Mr. Gaines showed, the kids that live across the street, they're college kids. They had a big party. This was before COVID-19. There was probably 100 cars on the neighborhood. And I mean, actually, it wasn't a bad situation. And it's not because it's only parked on one side of the road when they do park.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Thank you for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm James Lass, James-Lass. I live at 3616 West Roland Street. I actually right next to the Kilgores. So when I'd wake up in the morning, I'd be walking out right across the street at a parking lot. First of all, I talked to Mr. Gaines, and Mr. Gaines doesn't live in Bon Air. He has that strip center in Bon Air. He lives in Hyde Park near a friend of mine. And I'm sure that I would think Mr. Gaines does not want a parking lot next to his house or across the street from his house. They showed a lot of bad pictures, the worst angles of Roland Street that there is. Actually, it's beautiful. I believe my house is beautiful, and there's just many beautiful houses all the way down the street. It's a gorgeous neighborhood. But if they turn that into a parking lot, it just changes everything. And by the way, Renzo's does sell wine and beer. They may not sell liquor, but they sell wine and beer. First, the request is completely out of character for the neighborhood. Not only are they asking for a parking lot next to the house and across the street from the house, but they're asking for encroachments and variances which are substantially beyond the normal course. What is planned is to have a parking lot protrude out in front of all the front elevations of the homes on Roland Street. It's simply unacceptable. The neighborhood should not suffer because a commercial owner has decided to lease to tenants without adequate parking spaces. Again, it's completely out of character for the whole neighborhood. I really would appreciate all the neighbors. The Kilgores have been there about 45 years. It literally would be a parking lot beside one of their houses, right outside the window, and as they woke up in the morning, they were just staring at a parking lot. And mine is right at an angle. It would change the whole street, which has become beautiful over the last 15, 20 years. Thank you so much for all your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, council members. My name is Robin Walk. It's R-O-B-Y-N-W-A-L-K. I live in the same Bon Air neighborhood, but I live south of Azeel. So I am one of those many residents from that area who also disagree and oppose this variance to be issued to the plaintiff. Same issue. I live right behind Azeel. It's a commercial use. It's mixed commercial and residential. And I would be, like the rest of my neighbors have the same problem, I would be faced with looking at parking lots next to my residence. I've lived there for 25 years, and I, like everyone else who's come here tonight, wants to have our neighborhood be protected from people who are trying to build into and encroach into our residential neighborhood. Nobody's against businesses from thriving. There's nothing wrong with that. However, if it negatively imposes our residential neighborhoods and our property values, we are opposing it strongly. We ask you to oppose it as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Robert D. Gunther. I was not expecting to do this today. My mom is Carol Kilgore. And my stepdad is Ron. One of my best friends is Richard Wheeler down there. I grew up on Roland Street, beautiful neighborhood, and it would break my heart to see this happen. It is a gorgeous little neighborhood, just a gorgeous neighborhood. Please don't allow this to happen. That's all.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Thank you very much, Chair and members of City Council. My name is Sean Wilson, 3714 West Roland Street. I'm the president of the Bon Air Neighborhood Association. And we did, and I guess maybe this will be better. We did have a neighborhood meeting, an extremely well-attended neighborhood meeting early March, and Mr. Gaines came and Mr. Grandolph came. The best attended meeting we've ever had. And we had some discussion that I thought was going to result in a modified plan where they would get rid of waiver number 1 and maybe add masonry walls instead of PVC, but they didn't do that. So I'm against what they proposed. Now, I love Renzo's. That's my favorite spot. And Renzo's is a neighborhood treasure, and we don't want to hurt Renzo's. But here's the thing. This parking lot has 12 or 13 spaces. Guess what? There are street spaces on Sterling, right at the house. And I mean, I don't know if you can, if this is on, but I don't even know how to use it.
It's on. No, just put it down. It activates. Yeah.
Okay.
Little further down. There you go.
Okay. So here's Renzo's. Here's the proposed parking lot. You're allowed to parallel park right here, but it's really poorly marked, and there's no curb painting at all. And based on my marking it off, you could fit about 6 cars right there, parallel on Sterling. Nobody ever uses them. On the other side, which is where Ms. Rumenick lives, in between Roland and Cleveland, on the west side of Sterling, ditto. You're allowed to parallel park there. No one ever parks there. Why? Because it's poorly marked. There's some no parking signs right next to the corner, and when people are driving, they don't realize that it's only right there, that you're allowed to park in between the signs, and there's enough for about 6 spaces. So to me, I don't know why you would spend all that money to buy a lot and improve it when you've got street spaces. And for once, you're talking to a neighborhood that doesn't care if people park in our street. We get a ton of cut-through traffic. Having people parking on the street, that slows down the cut-through traffic, and it maybe even eliminates it. So, I mean, to me, it just doesn't make any sense. When Mr. When Mr. Gaines first knocked on my door about a year ago, he said, I'm either going to do a parking lot or a McMansion. I said, okay, so do a McMansion. That's what everybody else is doing. Roland Street and Bon Air are being redeveloped. It's great. And this is going to kind of kill it. You heard Mr. Micah say he's going to put 19 townhomes. That's fine. I was in front of you guys about a year and a half ago when the 11 townhomes came for its zoning approval, and I stood before you and supported it. We're not anti-development, but we're anti-undevelopment. And so tearing down a house to put a parking lot is undeveloping our neighborhood, and that's why it's just not a good idea. like I say, having said that, we don't want to hurt Renzo's. They're a treasure neighborhood asset. We love them, and the print shop too, and the hairdresser and the reflexology. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anybody else for public comment? All right, go ahead. Is this the last speaker? Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Great.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy. M as in Mary, A, M as in Mary, I-E, last name Wise, W-I-S-E. And hello, many of you I haven't even met because I'm not new to the neighborhood. My husband, who works at the corporate office of an insurance company, and I'm an attorney in town, have lived in Tampa for a long time. We looked at lots of neighborhoods to find a bigger house for our family, and we fell in love with this one. Shortly before the coronavirus hit, and we just moved in the neighborhood since then. I wouldn't recommend it, just for the record. But we love this neighborhood. It's a great family-friendly neighborhood. We have 2 kids who are 1 and 3. Since we've been on lockdown, this is frankly the first time I've been out of the house in months with this many people. But it's that important that I come and talk about this with you all. We walk the dog. We ride in our red wagon around the neighborhood. We color on the sidewalk with sidewalk chalk. Frankly, if there were commercial parking in the neighborhood, we might not have been as interested to move there, and I think a lot of other families feel the same. I think we can all agree that Himes is one thing, and Sterling is another. I couldn't have told you, I've lived in Tampa a long time, but I couldn't have told you much about Sterling, but everyone knows where Himes is. It's much more commercial than Sterling. And I think that the parking lot on Himes does not justify this parking lot on Sterling. Please deny this request. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sir? And this is our last speaker, I believe.
So short and sweet, Jason Walls, Jasonwalls. I can echo everything everyone else has already said. My wife and I have been in the neighborhood 2.5 years. We do have one of the new large homes. Hopes to have a family soon, and we're 1 street off of that at 3609 West Cleveland. But I would say some of the home prices that have been said as far as an investment are strong. Yes, they are. But I know if I was moving in with the further development, the trees that have been taken down, this further parking lot, it does take away from the feel. I personally have my own business. I have lots of employees. I know what it feels like to want to do better for my employees, the well-being and the health of my business. But there is so many opportunities around. There's one Tampa on the corner of Del Mabry and Kennedy, massive parking garage. Across from there's another one. There's all that vacant parking for Staples and Office Depot or whatever that place is. There's so much areas over there, not counting the valet, that they could do remote parking. I don't know if that's been explored, but I know that is something that I would be exploring. I haven't heard anybody speak about that. And as well as the cars showing the one kids out there on the, I think that was a party in February around Gasparilla. So other than that, we're walking around all the time. We don't really see that issue. So I think there's definitely room for more people to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, seeing no other public comment.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dingfelder.
Thank you. I had a quick question. I didn't catch him before he left, but I think he's back there in the corner. To the president of the association? Yes, sir. And I missed your name before.
Sean Wilson.
Thank you, Sean. Mr. Wilson. Always looking for opportunities to mediate and compromise. And you mentioned that when Mr. Randolph, Mr. Gaines came to visit the association, you were expecting or perhaps hoping that they might, I guess, back off to the 100-foot line. That would result in what I see to be at least three less spaces, which is neither here nor there to you, I'm sure. But in that regard, if they had done that, arguably, would you and/or your association or your neighbors be as vehemently opposed to this?
Well, thank you very much for the question. In my comment, I think I said that I thought they would come back with a modified site plan, eliminating that waiver one and doing masonry wall instead of PVC.
Right. You don't want masonry, you don't want masonry wall on the Roland side. They're offering a 3-foot wall, I think.
I think that if they would have presented a modified plan, that would have been an avenue for further discussion, but that didn't happen, so I really can't speak for how the membership would have responded to that.
Okay, so you can't commit or speak to that this evening either? Okay, thank you, sir.
I'm sorry.
Councilman Miranda.
Let me say this. You said something that was said, and it's factual. Anyone can park on any city street as long as they don't interrupt an ingress and egress to a driveway. The street belongs to everybody in the city, not just to the homeowner. And I'll have the council talk to about it, Mr. City Council Attorney.
In terms of what? I'm sorry, sir. You mean the right of people to park?
Yeah, Mr. President said that on the street right behind Renzo's there, you could park 4 or 5 or 6 cars possibly, and the neighborhood, from what I understood, said they were not opposed to individuals using part of that street since you only park on one side.
Sir, might I suggest that you ask staff? I believe you have somebody from traffic who might be more qualified than I am to talk to that.
And earlier I said a mullet wasn't a fish. Let's see what comes out of this.
Jonathan Scott, Transportation Planning. Yes, you can park on the street as long as there's no parking signs and anybody can park there.
But even with no parking signs, there was a law enacted that you cannot have a 5-minute parking. Somebody sued the state, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, if I recall.
That's correct, yeah, that
Thank you
sign
very
is no
much.
longer.
Councilman Carlson.
Am I allowed to call somebody back up and ask a question? Yes. Ms. Hatley, could I ask you, you said you represent the Kilgores? Is that right?
That's correct, yes.
You rattled off a whole bunch of code numbers really quickly, and I didn't get them. If one of my colleagues wrote all of them down, then stop me, please. But could you just tell us that part again?
Comprehensive plan, land use policy, 9.2.1, objective 9.5, and policy 9.5.1, land use policy 9.5.4, and land use policy 9.5.5.
Okay, I think I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any other council members have any questions? Petitioner?
Before I begin my comments in rebuttal, I want to refresh your recollection on the site plan. And this is in chronological order going around. Again, here's Roland Street, Sterling. Number one, this is a proposed 35-foot setback here with a 3-foot high fence to preserve this vista going back. Now, we do have some room to reduce the parking count. We met on February 25th, and as you imagine, the world fell apart soon after that. We never came back with a revised site plan. We do have some room. However, the tension is it puts more cars on the street. So I want to mention that. We're trying to preserve this vista, but still have 13 spaces. The 3-foot fence does that. Number two, we have 4 crepe myrtle trees. Number three, this distance here is 8 feet. The lot is 135 feet. The code says you cannot go past 100 feet. We're at 127 feet with the installation of the parking lot edge right here. Number 4, we have the landscape buffer on the Sterling side. As I mentioned, we have this extensive right-of-way right here, about 27 feet. Number 5, we have the right turn only sign. And number 6, we have the stormwater on this side, and we have the proposed 12-foot sod landscape buffer. So study that for a moment. And the problem we have this evening is you have classic tension in a suburban code in an urban environment. This is an urban use next door to a residential district, but you have a suburban code that discourages off-site parking. Those are tough to do. You have to have a lease, a long-term lease, approved by the city attorney. It cannot be more than 1,000 feet away. You have to have an easy walkway to get to that. So the code encourages these special uses on residential properties if they don't extend 100 feet, if there's adequate buffering, if there's adequate drainage, if there's adequate access. So the code wants you to do this so you won't be faced with a parking waiver when a development comes to you. That's the tension that you have with a suburban code in an urban environment in a strip center that was built in the 1960s. So that tension falls on you this evening. So what do? You consider these waivers. These are site waivers. These are not count waivers. The cars are already on the street. They're parking on Jim Micah's property across the street on Sterling. They're not going anywhere. You have a wonderful restaurant. No one denies that's Renzo's. We need to help them. God knows we need to help them in these days. So what do? You come forward with a site plan that preserves as much landscaping as possible and as much buffering as possible. Right-of-way spaces don't count. Mr. Scott just told you that those spaces are available, but the new rule says that the 5-minute rule is not enforced anymore. So yes, you can park all the way up down Roland, up and down Cleveland, up and down Platte. Can't lay a hand on you. So the neighborhood has to understand that that is a possibility. They seem to be resigned to that, but that could possibly happen. I think the more prudent solution is to prepare a proper parking lot and control some of the parking and some of the traffic. Off-street parking, what do you get with that? Valet cars coming up and down Roland, going where? Behind press box, behind shells. Then you're going to have complaints about that. What do you do about the tension? Mr. Moore said, you have to deal with the parking issue. Quotations. You have to deal with the parking issue, and he suggested remote parking and use the medical center so all the cars can go up and down Roland. Mr. Hunter told you that this is inappropriate, that this is inconsistent. He goes directly against Mr. Hayes' findings, who is the professional in the field with the Planning Commission who studies these day in and day out. He gave you his professional opinion this evening. This is consistent, and this is appropriate. That's the first quote I gave you when I gave my presentation originally. Ms. Hatley, on behalf of the Kilgores, again gave you conclusory statements. It's inconsistent and inappropriate. Mr. Hay finds otherwise. You have to weigh the evidence. Who is the more professional at this issue? I submit to you Mr. Hay's findings by the Planning Commission are more competent, substantial evidence. Pardon me for a moment. Madam Clerk, how much time do I have available? Okay. On page 4 and 5, you'll note that the remainder of the special considerations and special uses have been met. I submit to you that you do have a dilemma on your hands. It is a dilemma created by the code. It is the law of unintended consequences, once again, when you're trying to regulate the use of property. You have a very good, successful business there that is trying to create a solution. Eventually, the parking that Mr. Micahs has generously provided to the neighborhood will go away. We're trying to provide a solution which will not create chaos on the street with everyone parking on the street and parking that cannot be counted on the street. I submit to you that we would have an opportunity to perhaps relook at the site plan, perhaps shave down some of the parking count, and come back to you if that is your preference. I don't think we're that far apart, and I think this would be better for the neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from council members?
Mr. Chair, recognize?
Councilman Goods.
I think the neighborhood president was saying that he couldn't make a decision tonight because he needed to get with the rest of his neighborhood association. Mr. Granville has just put something on the table to go back and maybe reason with the neighborhood in reference to this situation. Again, we can't tell anybody what to do, but at this point, it's like a double-edged sword with this situation as I look and I read it. Which way is up? So just a point that maybe it need have a conversation. Maybe you and the neighborhood association president, and maybe we won't get a chance to render a decision tonight, but maybe another day. Just a suggestion. We can't make you do that, sir, but maybe a suggestion.
We appreciate your suggestion. We'd like to try that.
Are you saying you'd like to move for a continuance?
Perhaps a continuance, pleasure of council, 30 days perhaps, maybe 60 days. Times are difficult. I don't know when we could physically meet, but we could exchange site plans via email. My client is very willing to accommodate as much as possible and see if we can take a sharp pencil out.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
While you're looking for a date, I have some concerns about the continuance. As the word arose, I looked around the room and I saw a lot of shaking heads no, just because people get tired. You know, that especially these days, nobody really wants to come out of their homes, but as has been expressed earlier, it's important enough that they came out of their homes. And I don't think they want to do that again if they can avoid it 30 days from now. What I might suggest instead, since Mr. Gaines is here and his wife and you and these nice folks, is maybe if 4 or 5 of the leaders and you huddled outside, we could give you a half hour, an hour, continue on with these cases. Mr. Chairman agrees. And then, you know, if something can be worked out, that's great. If nothing can be worked out, then we come back in and we close the hearing and you know, move on one way or the other. But that's the kind of continuance that I think would be in everybody's best interest.
We can do that.
Mr. Chairman, obviously it's your meeting, but
If you wish, I mean, if not, the other options are August 20th or September 10th, both evening meetings. But if you can hash it out now, we'll go on to the next item and then just give us a signal.
I think it's a good suggestion, and we'll give it a try. You want to recess us indefinitely, and then I can notify the clerk that we've returned.
All right, we'll just move on to the next case then.
Mr. Shelby, are you comfortable with that?
This evening.
Do you want to
I
apply
meant this evening. Or you can tell us to come back at 10 o'clock, whatever your pleasure is.
Yeah, I mean, I think 30 minutes would be adequate and we can do a case or two. And
All right, we're at 9:33, so let's say 10 o'clock. And
Mr. Shelby, I just want to make sure you're comfortable with that. We've done it before.
Yes.
Wait.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the question will be ultimately what will come of it, and then we'll deal with that when the time comes. That's fine, if that's what council wishes.
Do you need a motion, Mr. Chairman, or you just want to do it yourself?
No, go ahead.
I request a continuance until 10 o'clock p.m., please.
Did you have to have a motion for that, or no? I mean, just...
No, it
we'll
could be a
see-
unanimous
we'll see you
consent,
then.
it'd be the pleasure of council by consensus.
Okay.
Is that all right with everyone? All right.
It may not be, Mr. Chairman, it may not be exactly 10 o'clock unless you wish to stop what you're doing at 10, but you might be in the middle of another hearing.
As close as we can.
I'll contact Mr. Shelby at 10 o'clock and give him an update.
All right, Councilman Goods, do you have any comments?
No, I saw the neighborhood president back to back raise his hand. I don't know if you want to recognize him or not, Mr. Chairman.
If you'd like to, Mr. Wilson or the other gentleman.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, and members of the City Council. I think that the will of the Neighborhood Association is to not engage in further discussions. We believe that the opportunity was provided to the applicant after the initial meeting to come to us with something that would have been mutually agreeable, and that time is now passed.
May I respond?
So we'd
Go
request a
ahead.
yes or no vote at this time.
Our meeting at the library on Henderson was February 25th. And then as the COVID started mounting, and we literally went neutral on the file, and my client instructed me not to do any further work because we didn't know whether this hearing would happen or not. And in fact, I was at council March 12th to request a continuance. And they were not there. I notified
Mr. Chairman, why don't I help a little bit and help you a little bit? I'd move for a 30-minute continuance on this. I think a little bit of talk can always help. If we come back 30 minutes later and everybody's in the same position, fine. But anyway, that's a motion just to help you out, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Dingfelder, second from Councilman Goods. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
See you in 30.
And everybody remember to try and keep your distance as best as possible.
Yes?
Are we,
Let's take a 5-minute recess.
Say it louder.
Mr. Chairman, did you call a recess?
Right now, it's a 5-minute recess.
5-minute recess, thank you.